All right. All
Okay,
right.
cool. So
Yeah.
you mentioned auctions, right? You want to be able, well, first you mentioned filtering so that anybody who's interested in viewing the art or collecting the art, learning more about the art, like they can just be directed to ACME, where the piece will be, minted on chain and on Bitcoin. So yeah, I mean, absolutely, we can make something like that work. And then if you're going to do one of ones, they'll all be one of ones initially, and then you decide if you want to do additions or not. And each addition piece will be followed by a .ed to signify that it is an addition, which is really cool because that's something I wanted. I know Morton Socks, feels strongly about it as well because I was like, man, I really want this to be like the physical world, where it's like a one of one masterpiece for the artist holds a lot of value, right? Like it's viewed as like, ooh, the original Van Gogh, the original Maximilian, So it is that one of one masterpiece. But, sometimes collectors don't have, hundreds or thousands or tens of thousands of dollars to spend on a piece. So let's offer additions, let's offer copies, and where the artist has full control of that and how that works. But the pieces are also separated by that .ed to signify, okay, cool, this is an edition, this is a copy of the original, right? And those can be sold separately from the one of one. So then you mentioned auctions, and again, as easy as we wanted it to be for the artist for the 3-click minting, we wanted the same option to be there for your auctions. 3 clicks and your auction's going, right? Like it's very few things to just select for your auction and then get it going. So if you want to set a reserve, you set a reserve. If you want to decide, if you want to start it immediately, start it immediately. If you want to decide that it should start on X block, you start it on X block. How long do you want it to go on? How many blocks, Bitcoin blocks do you want this auction to run? You get to decide all that. And if you don't want to get super complex with it, that's totally fine. Start it right away and then have it end for the maximum amount of blocks that it can run. And then you decide again, do you want to reserve? Do you not want to reserve? And when the auction ends, it will auto execute in a decentralized, permissionless way. No middleman. We're not going to hold your art. We're not playing the middleman here. There's no risk of that middleman or centralized entity being involved in this transaction. We have been advocating and tried to produce a trustless, permissionless marketplace that, again, gives the power back to the artist and the collector and doesn't include a middleman that is taking their cut or including some risk in the transaction, right? Some unnecessary risk. So I hope that answers your question, but yes, we have, we can offer solutions for both of those questions you have.
That is incredible. So I do have a couple of questions, but also I'd like for you, not only for myself, but also for friends who are going to follow this path that I'm trailblazing. So could you talk a little bit about the risk of the middleman?
Yeah, no problem. Mort, if you want to jump in, you can jump in. If not, I'll keep going.
You can add very quickly, as you asked, for the risk of the middleman. Then you have a third party that you have to trust with your asset or trust with your Bitcoin when you are buying it. The way we have designed auctions, selling, basically everything for marketplaces is that you set this auction on Bitcoin, not with ACME that web page or ACME marketplace, but with Bitcoin. And it is on chain. There is no permission. There is no third party to control. The indexer takes the data and provides to the world. It can be seen by everybody. It is open. It is not concealed for a single marketplace. You can access it from your page. You can access it from marketplace that you build. You can see it on ACME page, but it is open and permissionless all the way through. So as you mentioned that you want to basically release every day, you can make, let's say, 5 assets and schedule the auctions to start every 144 blocks, which is 1 day, circa, and it will work for you. We will just send the transactions, and you just look at it how it is popping up every day. So I mean, these things are cool, and I am stoked to show it to you once you will be setting the auctions and stuff, because it's really cool to see that you talk with Bitcoin and it works. There is nobody to do it, and it just works.
This is awesome. This is really awesome. It's been a real pain point, and actually, I don't know if either of you know this, but the last few months, I really have not been as present as I like to in the community because I had to scramble and rebuild a bunch of things that got rugged when some platforms went down, and it's really hard. It's for me, this is solving. Yeah, it's really heartbreaking because I am one of those people, like I'm an architect, right? I like to plan things way in advance, and I'm a person that builds in layers. So for me to lose a bunch of work all at once, it literally was like a year of work just disappeared. And I had a really difficult decision that I had to make, which was taking the time to rebuild everything that I lost. And of course, if I rebuild it, I'm going to rebuild it sovereign, which takes more time. That's why so many artists build on other people's platforms, because it takes time. And we won't even talk about the skills that I didn't have, that I had to bolster to be able to do this. But I was very motivated. But I know that this is why a lot of us artists use platforms that other people build, is because we don't have the time, or we don't have the bandwidth, or we just barely have enough time to eke out the art that's deep in our heart. But building a platform else and then maintaining it, it takes a higher level of discipline, a higher level of skill. It takes more bandwidth. It takes, a lot of resources. And so I was really scrambling to rebuild essentially a whole bunch of platforms. I was using a platform to make my crypto art augmented reality. Those platforms, they went down, and it was so sad. So I was rebuilding, and for me it was a difficult decision, because if I didn't rebuild it, who am I? As an artist, all the art that I had made was resting on these, the art still existed, but the display, the presentation part had disappeared, and for me, art is not just a piece, it's an experience. It's kind of like, imagine any piece of clothing, your finest pair of slacks, your finest, whatever that, I think every human has a piece of clothing that when we wear it, it makes us feel good or comfortable or together or something. Whether it's a structured jacket, a favorite soft shirt, whatever. Each of us has like one piece. It might even be a pair of like cozy socks, slippers, or sneakers. You can run so fast. There's something, right? But if, regardless of the value that article provides, how we came across it, how it came into our possession also matters. It's like a fine dinner that someone serves to you. You don't want it just like randomly presented to you on a garbage tin can, or it came in plastic or something. Like, how you get it matters. And so even though the art still existed, I'm going to be honest, I don't want to send people to a huge marketplace to buy my art. It's kind of like sending someone to X or to Facebook to buy something from you that you made special, custom. I believe that every artwork, every series deserves its own custom experience, even podcasts. I would never send someone to iTunes or whatever to listen to my podcast. No, I'm going to build a whole experience around it. So you're at my house listening to my show with my friends and my people, and you can do all the things you need to do right there. So essentially, I spent the last year, after being in the space 4 years, I realized, this is what my art has been missing. And so I created it, I developed it. And before I could launch it and share it with the world, all the different platforms, and these are multiple platforms. It wasn't just one platform. It was like this season of, and it was like Eighth Wall round, and all all these really well-known platforms went down. And so if I didn't stop what I was doing, if I didn't stop my forward motion to rebuild all the things I had lost, I wouldn't really be able to go forward with the same roadmap that I had built. And so more than anything, I want to avoid that ever happening again, not only for myself, but for my collectors. Luckily, I'm still alive, and I was able to, gather myself, make these hard decisions, and gather the resources and make it happen. But this is why ACME Protocol is like so super important. is because I want Abstractia to live forever. These pieces are amazing. They scale infinitely big, they scale infinitely small. And my vision for Abstractia actually is to be on the sides of buildings. This background that we're looking at that has like the waves, it's one of my artworks. Can you imagine like a whole city where every exterior building has like, has the
With
liquid
a
LCD?
pattern on site.
Yeah,
That would be awesome.
yeah, it would be amazing. Well, it can only happen if the art lives long enough for it to catch on. I mean, how many even classical artists, not even just visual artists, classical music artists, right? People who we imagine they were big in their day. We find out, oh, actually no, they didn't get paid dick when they were alive. They died in poverty, but now their
Exactly.
music is worth, right? I might be that person too. So I have to make sure the art lives long enough. And that's why ACME Protocol is so important. That's why it's such the GOAT. You guys are goats, and this is why this matters to me. So I'm
This is
so
this is
ready
so
to
great
hit
to
it.
hear from you. I really thank you very much for your words because we are trying. ACME is something that we have been building for a year. I mean, I spent dedicated development a year of my life on this, and we have been frustrated by the things that you said. But platforms are popping out like disappearing, and even okay, as you said, art stays. You can find the art, but you don't have the context. You don't have all the connections, and that's why we came with the Cortex on-chain solution for metadata and connections between things, because it's not just the art; it's also the context of it. Who made it, why it was made, and I don't know who collaborated with you, and you know when these things disappear, it is such a shame and such damage to culture. I mean, yeah,
You.
it's so cool to have you on. I mean, they will make some crazy things. I can see it already.
Yes, I'm excited. I'm excited. Well, okay, so I've got my HTML file. It's ready, and I know from the documents and from our previous conversation, you said that there was 4 different ways to put art on Bitcoin. Is it right? Through
Yeah.
art.
So going back, like it's such a breath of fresh air to hear an artist. Really quick before I get into that, I just want
Well,
to
take
touch
your
on what you're
time. Take
saying
your
because it's
time.
so important.
Yeah, take your
Yeah, I
time.
mean, I want others to hear this, right? Because you're somebody who gets it and understands the reason behind what it is we're trying to do. Is it's like I feel like there are some hurdles. There's like some pain points as you transition from the physical world to the digital world. And I say like there's an equivalent of in the physical world your gallery, your canvas, your paintbrush, your paint, and that's all very important to an artist, right? A painter, they study these things in school, or if they didn't go to school, they study it on their own. They find their own sources and ways to learn all these things, but like I think it was an analogy that I used, or it was an example I gave of like, you wouldn't be commissioned for this beautiful painting and choose printer paper and $1.99 Crayola paints, water paints, right? Like you wouldn't do that shit. No, you wouldn't go grab chalk if somebody commissioned you to do this beautiful mural outdoor on the side of their restaurant, right? Like you wouldn't do that because you study the materials and the methods that you're going to use to create this art piece. There's an equivalent of that in the digital world, and any artist, in my opinion, has an obligation to learn how and where and why they're putting their digital art, where they're putting that art if they're going to sell it. If you're not going to sell it, do your thing. If it's a creative outlet for you, you just want to express yourselves in a digital way, do your thing. But if you are going to sell it and you do have collectors, give them the respect of understanding those digital materials or digital methods that you have to put it on the blockchain, right? So one of the things we wanted to do, which I'll get into centralized indexing later, but I wanted to touch on your question of the 4 methods that we offer. And one thing that we noticed, because Mort has 10 plus years in crypto, Socks has 10 years in crypto, I have almost 8 years in crypto, and we've all spent several years in the Bitcoin ecosystem in general. So we've seen everything like, okay, like I love this about this protocol or this community, but there's these opportunities that we need to fill, right? And there's so much in the Bitcoin ecosystem because it's so young that we can improve. And that's what we're trying to do with ACME. So it's like give the artists options. If they want to go on chain, we're huge advocates of going on chain, because if you don't go on chain, there's risk of losing the art like you guys were talking about, right? If it's sitting somewhere in AWS cloud, or it's sitting somewhere linked to, you know, a link that eventually breaks, or AWS cloud, or whatever cloud service you're using goes out of business, that art is gone. And then it becomes the token is the art sort of scenario. It's like you're left with this token, but there's no data, there's no art attached to it. It's just a token at that point. So give the artist options. We offer 3 on-chain options. There's the UTXO method, which is extremely expensive, but it puts the data on every single node, which you're going to really upset the maxis if you do that, because it's extreme spam. And it's really, you know, it is asking that every single node hold the data to that art that you're putting on Bitcoin. And then we have witness data, which is commonly used by ordinals, but it's not an ordinal specific and exclusive thing. But there's witness data and op return, which are not on every full node, but they're still on chain, and that data will always be available on Bitcoin somewhere. Not all nodes will carry that information, but if you're willing to take the trade-off of not having that data on every single node, but you know it will live on chain forever, and you want that discount for going witness data or op return, those are the second and third options. The fourth option is an option for somebody who does animations or MP4s or highly detailed art, you know, high resolution photography. Like, we have a bridge to Arweave as the fourth option, and that's a way where maybe it's not on chain. The creation of the token that is connected to the data, that's fully on chain. The connection to your on-chain profile, that's fully on chain. But the data itself will live on Arweave, which we believe in Arweave and what they're trying to do. If you study them a little bit, they're huge advocates of decentralization and removing those central parties in their indexing, in their gateways, in the data itself, and creating true permanence and decentralization. So we chose them as the fourth option, which is a more economical option. You can get a piece on ACME for 20, 30, 40 cents and play in the Bitcoin ecosystem by bridging to Arweave. So if it's your wallet that you're, the amount of you're going to be on a budget, or it's the type of art that you create, there's that fourth option of Arweave. So yes, 4 options to put your art on Bitcoin and be a part of the ecosystem.
That is so interesting. Okay. So I have a question. So methods 2 and 3. Would you mind getting nerdy with me? And could we do some sensazioni? So just as background, I feel like what we're doing right now is sensazioni. One of my favorite living authors, his name is Michael Gelb. He wrote a book, and it's actually an audiobook. He never actually published it in writing. He only published him speaking this. So it's a spoken word book, but it's called Think Like Da Vinci. And I don't know if you guys ever listened to this book. It came out a long time ago, but he talks about, the whole book is about how Da Vinci taught and interacted with his students, and one of the exercises that he is said to have done is called sensazioni. And what they would do is they would lay out 4 similar, multiple, not just 4, but similar different things. And they would do this experience where they would discuss the differences between them, not to say, this is better, this one's worse, but just to appreciate the differences between them. So I guess what I'm really asking, can we sensazioni between the 2 and 3 different methods that you mentioned, number 2 and number 3?
Yes. Go ahead, Mo, you want to take it, or?
Yeah, I can take it. I mean, method 2 is OP literal, and method 3 is witness data, right? So OP literal is something that is designed to carry data on Bitcoin. Originally, it was 83 bytes, like very, very, very tiny. You can put like 80 characters into it. and over. Now, with the version 30 of Bitcoin, we have 100 kilobytes of OP return data. So this data can be used for whatever you want. It's basically approved by Maxis. It's accepted, let's say, or tolerated this way. It's the middle ground between UTXO and Witness in when we are talking about costs. There is no discount for the data itself, but you don't burn any dust, which is compared to UTXO settings. So it is cheaper. Option number 3, Witness, has, as I said before, 400 kilobytes limit for the data. And on top of it, it has a 75% discount on the cost of the data. So when you put 400 kilobytes, you pay 400 kilobytes, which is, I mean, really cool. But the drawback is this data is often being pruned from the node. It doesn't live on more than like 5% of the Bitcoin nodes, and that's considerable thing if you are looking for real immutability and an accessibility of the data.
So like, what would that mean, like, for a collector? Like, how sometimes there's like a notable difference in the way that something is happening on the back end, but like, how does that affect the artwork for the collector? Does that mean that sometimes it won't show up? Like, what are the differences experientially for the collector? So I'm fully understanding when I'm making these really important decisions.
With all the first 3 options, UTXO, OP return, and Witness, if there is Bitcoin node, it will be accessible. That is not a problem. This data is basically always accessible because it lives on chain. There might be kind of issue with Arweave because you are relying on third-party service again, which is decentralized. These guys are doing a really great job. I mean, they are doing for like permaweb and decentralized storage. They are doing the cakes work really. But it's still we experience outages there. We experience gateways down because it's the nature of thing. They don't have 47,000 nodes at Bitcoin. It's different, but the price is also radically different. So you have these things you have to juggle when you want to do it. But with all the first 3 options, you get the certainty your artwork will pop up and it is preserved. It differs only with, as I said, the nuances between it, the size constraint, what you can put, and first option is the most secure. I mean, it's permanent marker on glass. You can't get it away. There is no way it disappears. Witness can be pruned, so it can disappear from some of the nodes.
Yeah. So let's talk about that, because I really want to have clarity. I want everyone to have clarity too. So
yeah, sure.
When it's pruned, right? What does that mean experientially? So let's say I'm a token holder. Let's say, right? So if it's pruned, what shows up when I go to look at it?
When you are, let's say, on ACME page, ACME is connected to the full node, which is not pruned by design. It is set up the way it will never be pruned, so it will always hold the data. But from all the Bitcoin nodes, there is just around 5% of such nodes, because it's now around 1.3 terabytes of data and growing up. So in some years, there won't be too many people capable of running a Bitcoin node because of the bloat that is going with it. So let's say now it is completely the same with Witness data and UTXO and OP return. But in 10 years or 20 years, when you will need a whole data center for to just store the Bitcoin blockchain, you won't have 5% of the nodes running it. You will have like 1% or 0.5%. I don't know. I mean, it will never disappear completely, but it can get to a point where those who are having the data will charge you for it.
Oh my gosh.
I mean, it's science fiction, but a real one.
Oh my God. So
I have an analogy.
yeah, go ahead, HP.
Okay, thanks. So sometimes, like when we're explaining this, it can get really technical. But to try to help people understand the difference between UTXOs and then opportunity witness, I think of it like ATMs at a bank, right? Like, so let's say there's two different banks, and you're trying to decide, okay, where do I want to put my cash? And one bank says to you, okay, you can bank with us. You're going to pay full price for banking with us, but you'll have access to your assets or your cash, in this case, on our entire network of ATMs. We have 10,000 ATMs across the world. Okay, so you get access to your cash on all 10,000 ATMs, but you pay full price for banking. The second bank says, hey, we'll offer you a discount. We have two different tiers. Think of it like maybe Witness and Opportune. Witness offers a 75% discount, right? 75% discount on banking, that's going to appeal to a lot of people. That's a significant discount. But for the network of 10,000 ATMs that we have globally, we're only going to allow you to access your cash on 5% of those ATMs. Are you good with that? Yes or no? So that's a question that you have to ask yourself. For that data, for that particular piece, does it mean so much to you and possibly the collector that you want that living on every single full node? If you do that, you're going to pay handsomely for that. You're going to pay a lot to get it in the UTXOs.
All right, now what's a lot? This is that conversation I like to have with my rich friends, because the answer is always different. When someone goes a lot, you gotta go, wait a minute, what's a lot? Okay, so for example, so this artwork that I brought, one of the artworks is 22 KD, right? So what's a lot?
Mm-hmm. So if you were to put that in UTXOs, I want to say that's probably going to be in the $200 to $250 range. More, if I'm way off, let me know. I could be wrong. It depends on the Bitcoin fees. That's why if at any point the Bitcoin network starts to really ramp up with fees, doing this, putting data on Bitcoin is going to get super expensive. So if you went UTXO option, I want to say this is just a guess, but 200 to 250. Now, if you went to witness data, it might be closer to 200. If you want witness data, you're probably going to be paying closer to like $20, $30, $40 if you choose a fee that's really low and the mempool is calm. So you can get something like that on chain really cheap with witness data and Opportune. But with UTXOs, if you want that data on every single full node, you're going to pay quite a bit for it. So that's the analogy I use as the ATM analogy, because it's really a personal choice. Like, where do you want that piece to live on the Bitcoin network? Because it can get very expensive, or you can get a discount, but it will always be there. It will always be on chain.
Oh, this is so interesting. I didn't realize these are going to be such difficult decisions to make. And I really appreciate the frame too. So let me ask you about this for a decision-making strategy. And maybe it's totally off, but I can't imagine two better people to have this conversation with. So what are the thoughts around, the baseline of my thinking is $200 per piece, because this is a daily, right? I'm funding this myself. So that doesn't seem sustainable for even for the rest of the collection. That would be, I'm spending $200 a day putting a new piece on chain. And there is not yet an established collector base for this collection, but the idea is for it to live a long time. What are your thoughts about creating editions using one of the more financially affordable methods, and then maybe if someone expresses interest in a one of one or something, when I have a collector for that says I want the one of one, then that could be an option. Like, what are our thoughts around that? Because the way that I built Abstractia.today, I actually pivoted. I built a whole different site for it at first that was more focused on people buying artworks, but I felt like it was not a great, something was missing. Something was missing. And then I was like, what's missing is the collector base is missing. And I wanted to allow a collector to choose where to mint these. Uh, Something inside me did not want to put all these in one place. And then I didn't want to just randomly assign them. So what I did is I divorced my creative practice from the practice of putting them on chain. And I made my creative practice making them available publicly. And then once it's purchased, it can go on chain. So I kind of changed my own workflow to make it possible. So what are your thoughts around how could we strategically do it so that putting them on chain could be sustainable, they could be available, and then I'm not against UTXO. Obviously, like that's philosophically that's the highest choice, but I'm not committed to do that today. What are your
Yeah, I will explain you the mechanics of how the additions works. So each asset that you issue on ACME is a one of one. And if you want additions, you take this asset and you create additions from the asset. When this addition, it shares the same artwork. So we are not putting the same data, for example, for 100 additions. We are not spamming Bitcoin with 100 times the same picture. So it shares the data with the parent, and this way, the cost of minting the edition is now, I think, $2.50 or $3. So editions are really cheap from this perspective. What you asked, if to start with the additions, you basically have to start with the one of one. That is the base for it. So maybe I would go with witness data at the beginning because it's tenfold less expensive than UTXO. And let's see. For example, 10 pieces, or I don't know how many, to see how the collectors will react. And if you will have like a really good calls back there, I don't know what is considered good, but then you can basically update this. And even if you want, you can change the data. I mean, you can update the data reference in the asset after. So you can start with Arif, for example, do the additions, and afterwards change the data if you want. But it's up on you.
I have some accurate information for you, Maximilian. So you said 22 KB, right? So I wanted to look it up for you just so you have something accurate. It's actually really reasonable if you go with witness data or op return. So witness data, we can get you in for less than $5 per piece. For op return, we can get you on chain for just over $18 per piece. So I think that, I mean, if less than $5 for a witness data is really good. But like Mort said, unless you lock it, because if you lock the description, then you can no longer change the art, which is nice. I mean, before you sell it as a one-of-one, you probably want to lock it. I'm sure the collector wants it locked as well, so that the data or the art can never be changed. But you can change it after the fact. So if you wanted to go Arweave and then somebody said, no, I want this piece on chain, you can go back later and ask them, well, there's 3 options that I can offer you to go on chain. Which would you prefer? Because 22 KB will fit in all 3 of the options and it will be up to them at that point. But if you just wanted to go on chain from the start, less than $5 for each piece is pretty reasonable.
Yes, less than $5 for each piece is pretty reasonable. And as far as like one thing I guess it's different for every artist, but one thing I have seemed to have discovered is, at least for myself too, when people have access to when there's a clear road to how someone can get from point A to point B, I think it makes those sales easier. And I guess I was envisioning something like, if I create editions and someone has to hold an edition to request a one of one, right? Then maybe what I would do is, and tell me your thoughts around this, right? Maybe I would create a special one of one based on that edition that could be inscribed in the way that, in the forever way, based on, I mean, like, I guess the only step up would really be UTXO. Otherwise, like, what would be the point? Am I right, or am I getting this right? Someone could, like, so I guess what I'm envisioning, I'm always standing in the consumer. That's always where I start. Is I start off imagining myself as the consumer. I'm minding my business, and someone goes, "You got to go to Abstractia today," right? So I go on there, or some person I know sees some beautiful colors that they know I'll love, and they send it to me, and I go, "What the fuck is this? Oh my God, I love it!" And I go, "Well, I've got, I'm not sure," and maybe we'll talk about this, pricing and what you've seen be successful. But let's say I look at the piece, I go, "Oh my God, I love it. I really would like to own this." So I'm on Abstractia today right now. But Maximilian, has put this piece already on chain. I spent $5 and I put it on there. Okay. So there's a button that they can press that's going to now take me to ACME, where I can inscribe the piece and make it my own. And at this point, it's going to be a one of one, or it will be an edition. Am I right so far?
Mart, you want to take that one?
Yeah, just to clarify, so the artwork will not be on chain yet. It will be only on your page, and somebody decides that they want a one of it.
Well, I would have to put it on chain first. Like if I spent the $5 and I got it on, right?
Yeah. Okay. So
then I would have a button. So, but like if I do that, they have to go to ACME to actually get the piece. Is it correct?
Not really. Not really, because let me explain this way. So you mint your first for $5. You mint your witness data artwork, and doing editions on ACME means that you open the edition mint on chain. You specify how many there will be, you price whatever. You can price it in Bitcoin, in ACME, in your token that you decide to make. We are also providing artists with the opportunity to make their own fan tokens and all this stuff. So related to this, yeah, and. So you create the open minter, and if somebody wants to buy the edition, it doesn't exist, and they use the minting solution for it. They just click one button, mint one piece, and they will get the freshly printed copy of their artwork. And if they decide they want the one of one that you have created, you have that in your wallet already because you have created it. And the editions are different assets, basically. So if somebody wants to buy the one of one, you have it. They can send you on ACME on-chain offer for it. So everything is taken care about from this perspective of buying from people. And why I said that you don't need to be on ACME is that we are providing full API for everything. So you can basically make it on your page. Yes.
What? Yes. Oh my gosh, that is ideal. Because I was saving that question to the end. Now, how can I do it from my experience? So we can use the ACME API, and they can. So what I like to do is when I have like experience, I like a center modal to open up on the page. So like, am I getting this right, that I could integrate the ACME Protocol API, and when someone's on Abstractia today, they can be like, oh my God, I love it, I want it, and they can tap the button, and that button says, make it yours, boom, and it opens up the modal, and they can inscribe, and it can happen via the ACME Protocol API. It can just happen all right there.
Yes, you can with each you can offer the one of one, and you can offer the edition mint at the same time. You know, it just pops up with your artwork on the flip side, or I don't know how you present it. You know, there is the whole world how this can be done. But the the ACME page is using the API exclusively. There is no nothing else, just this API. So building that for you on your page, I mean, come on, it's software.
Yes. I mean, I built the whole Abstracted today. Like I built all that myself, so I'm feeling pretty strong.
Yes, yeah, you know that. You know how it works. So that will be easier, you know. Yeah.
Now, there's one thing I have to get some clarification on, not only for myself, because I just want to make sure that I totally get this, but also for my other friends, because so in the past, and the only first time I've seen this change is actually with ordinals. So I want to just get some clarity around this. So like in the past, I've never known editions and one-of-ones to exist simultaneously. So can we talk about that a little bit?
So every asset when it's minted is one of one. No, ACME. That's how each asset is born, and the edition is technically sub-asset of this one. It's parent-child. So it's a separate asset, but not completely separated from the parent. There is a clear path that this is my asset and this is my asset.ed for edition.
So this is a delineation that is essentially a label. Unlike in traditional art where it's like, there's like some difference. It's like, well, the original is on canvas, it's done in blood and paint, and then the editions are a poster, it's done on paper with ink. And there's like these two differences, like in the traditional world, like that's kind of the one-of-one versus editions that we're kind of used to. And so am I correct in my understanding that in this format, the difference is in name? There's a
Yes.
paper trail that says this is the original and this is an edition,
Exactly.
but the asset itself, it looks the same. Is that
Exactly.
Right? Sweet.
It's like when you are artist, you are making I don't know, copper plate or a lino cut. You have the plate. Plate is the one-of-one. It's yours. It's the original, and the 100 editions are the prints. So it's clearly this distinction of.
Yes, I totally get that.
And,
yeah.
You know, on top of this, you also on ACME have something that is called intellectual property rights. So this is also separated from asset in a way. You can sell the asset, and you can keep the intellectual property. That will allow you to collect royalties on secondary trades on ACME, which might be very important in some cases.
Yes, let's talk about that. It sounds like, and you correct me, right? You draw me back in if I'm off track. But it sounds a little bit like, are we talking about recursion now? Because I remember someone telling me once anything is on chain on Bitcoin, anyone can use it. Just grab these numbers and just input it into their art. Is that what we're talking?
Yes, they can take the data. I mean, we are using Bitcoin, and every meta protocol is using Bitcoin as a store of the data. So technically, you can go even outside of the protocol and get the data if you understand how it is encoded and all this jazz around it. the protocol is doing the job of decoding and encoding it for you, and providing access over API, and where you get your JPEG or HTML, and don't get this blob of hexacode, which, I mean, it might be cool, but what can you do with it if you don't know? So what ACME provides is basically the paper trail for the provenance, and it is telling exactly that on this block, in this transaction, this address, your Bitcoin address, created this asset with this name. It is stored here, and all this provenance information, it is clearly in plain English saying that Maximilian created this asset at this point.
Yes, that matters a lot. What's on your mind, HP?
This is like the perfect opportunity to inject centralized indexing. I have to say it.
Yes. Tell me the long version. Tell me the long version, because I really, really want to get this. I know that a lot of times when people start talking technical stuff, they want to like hurry through it, but please don't, because I'm sucking on every word. So yeah, lay it.
Cool. Yeah, and I have a stupid analogy I'll throw in too, just because I think they're fun and they're easy to understand for some people. So centralized indexing is like a whole nother threat to this ecosystem, and it's not just a Bitcoin thing. It's like digital art in general, that if we don't start fixing some of these things, you're going to continue to see a lot of issues that you're seeing, like Magic Eden dipping out, and Foundation, and Known Origin, and all of these platforms that have just blown up and disappeared. And sometimes art has gone with them, sales history has gone with them, collection information has gone with them. The art itself disappeared because it was linked using cloud or IPFS, and it hasn't been pinned, and blah, blah, blah. All these reasons that these platforms disappear, right? And centralized indexing is a big problem with that. And we are the only protocol that is focused on trying to decentralize the indexing. So what does that mean exactly? Like Mort was talking about, with the data being on chain, and then like, yeah, sure, if you create something, Maximilian, on Bitcoin, I can go find that data. I can use that data to recreate the image or the art, and then I can go do whatever I want with it, right? Anybody,
I hate that so much. I hate it.
I know it's just something you have to deal with it living in a public blockchain, right? Like it's just one of those things that you have to kind of accept. However, there's a couple of things that we can do, and that we are doing it as ACME, like the IP rights to it, right? You have the rights to that data. Information is on chain. You control the wallet that controls those IP rights. Okay, so that's one. Mort got into that. The second one is decentralizing the indexing, which is connected to ownership and token creation. So what does that mean exactly? Because the analogy I like to use, which side story here, I was just on a spaces with Ella and Peng. If anyone knows Ella and Peng, they're huge advocates of on-chain. They do a lot of stuff on Ethereum, but they've played on Bitcoin and other blockchains as well. But they're huge advocates of on-chain. And I had a big conversation with them live on a spaces discussing centralized indexing, because it is an equal to threat of as on-chain is, right? Like if you don't have your art on-chain, it could disappear at any point. But if you're playing with the protocol that's using centralized indexing, it's sort of like, I'll go back to the bank analogy because people seem to usually get that one. It's like if you decide to give a bank your 200K in your checking and your 100K in your savings account and your entire 401K, right? If you move to that bank and they have your cash, let's say they have your 200K, right? And they give you a debit card that says this debit card is connected to that 200K. That's your ownership of that 200K.
Ownership.
Exactly, that's your ownership. This tells you can log on to the app, you can see your 200K, you can use this debit card to access your 200K. And let's say that's just a little regional bank that Mort and I started, but things aren't going so well, so we decided to dip out, right? So rather than be honest, like we kind of take whatever assets are still left, and we take your money and we move to some island somewhere in the middle of nowhere where nobody knows, and we have your cash. that cash is still there, right? That cash is probably going to live on forever, just like the data on Bitcoin is on chain and it's going to live on as long as Bitcoin's around. But that cash is sort of mine now, right? Like I dipped out. You trusted me.
It's totally yours, and all y'all have to do is flip the UI. It's happened to me before. I won't say which banks it is, but it's happened to me before with traditional banking, where I go to log on, it goes, "Whoops, we've encountered an error. Our bad. Try back later."
Yeah.
And so you guys can flip that message on at any time. You don't even have to go out. You don't even have to go to an island. You can just turn off the website.
You have total control when you're playing with centralized indexing, the centralized parties. Then you're giving them total control to manipulate the ownership and that ledger, everything, right? Like it doesn't matter if that data is on chain or that cash is going to live on forever. If I flip the switch, then that's my cash now, not yours, and it's no longer yours, Maximilian. So there it is. You know, that's just the way they do it. And to give you real examples of this, I won't mention the name, but the most popular protocol on Bitcoin uses centralized indexing. And if you're familiar with cursed assets, the reason you have cursed assets is on ordinals.
I'm familiar with cursed assets. Please take us to the interior of the cookout. We're at the Bitcoin cookout now. We need to know all
Let's do it. We'll do that. So basically, when you're creating assets and you're using centralized indexing, there may be, let's say there's just 4 or 5 indexers. In the case of ordinals, for example, there's the KCs, there was Magic Edens, they're gone. They're Unisat, Gamma, like there's multiple indexers, right? But those are all centralized parties doing whatever they want to do with that ledger, whatever they want to do with what the ownership is of the data that's on Bitcoin. So what happened with cursed ordinals was the indexer that Casey has was not speaking to the indexer that Unisat has, and some assets were created on the ordinals protocol, and they didn't have ordinals numbers or SAT numbers. They say SAT numbers, right? So they didn't know exactly how to handle this situation because some of the assets were created on one indexer were not created on the other indexer. So because they weren't created on the other indexer, then they didn't have a way of distinguishing between the two and giving them an asset number. So they said, shit, what do we do? Like, people are pissed about this. Why don't we just call them cursed assets and give them a negative number? And we'll kind of just maybe a narrative will form that those are maybe more rare, or they're somehow more valuable. And you even saw a little bit of that play out back then. And I think it was 2023, and that's where indexers not speaking to each other can lead to issues like that. But at any point, like you saw with Magic Eden, they were running their own indexer, and a couple of, I don't know, nefarious things, if you want to call it, that they were doing is they were putting high resolution images of the low resolution art or images that were actually on Bitcoin, putting them on their marketplace and saying, buy this ordinal, look how beautiful it is. And then when you get the ordinal, what's actually on chain is low resolution. And so they were doing their own thing. That's a centralized marketplace and a centralized indexer you're dealing with, right? So they were doing a little bit of that. Plus, whenever they dipped out, they took the listings, the sales history, the collection data, which is not on chain. It is on chain in ACME, by the way. But people were scrambling, artists were scrambling to try to figure out how to get their collection data back on Bitcoin, because they were creating collections through Magic Eden. And when Magic Eden left, they did it like kind of abruptly and just said, peace out. We're going to go do a gambling platform, so we're leaving. All that sales history, all that collection data, everything they were doing was just gone. So that leaves artists scrambling to figure out a solution to it. And that's where centralized indexing and that analogy I gave you of like, not your keys, not your crypto sort of thing, but it's like, I like the banking example, because it's like, I hand you the debit card, But if I decide to dip out, that money's mine now, even though you have a debit card or you have a token or a SAT linked to that data. You know, if I'm the gatekeeper of ownership, that's a problem. So we're creating something called, we're focused on decentralized indexing, which would create a network where that data would live in a network, just like Bitcoin, right? Why is Bitcoin valuable? Or why is it the most appealing blockchain and distributed network in the world? Why there's tens of thousands of nodes running the network and holding the data? So why don't we decentralize the ownership of assets on ACME, put all that data on Bitcoin, but also put it on a network of ACME validators so that the ownership is also decentralized and there's no one party that can say, well, we never indexed those assets, so we don't really know what to do with asset numbers, or we didn't index that information, or actually we want to own that entire collection. We'll just change the ownership on our indexer and it'll be our collection now. Kind of like with the banking thing, you know? So when you play with centralized indexing, it doesn't matter that the data's on Bitcoin forever. I change the ownership because I'm running an indexer, then it's just no longer yours.
Nobody talks about this stuff.
Nobody does. It's so important.
I mean, yeah, it's like, this is really important. And now I didn't even know that could be a thing, because it's like, usually you're saying the quiet part out loud. Usually everyone's being really noisy about your art forever, immortalized, but they don't talk about that.
Yeah, I mean, this is serious issue, and I will be a little bit more nerdy on this topic. So imagine that you have 5 nodes, 5 operators that are providing data. Each has its own marketplace, and when you decide to sell your one piece on ordinals, you have to list it separately on each marketplace because they don't talk to each other. And if you sell it on one marketplace, you should be then responsible to go to the other 4 marketplaces and cancel the listing. That's because everybody is in its own silo and don't talk to each other. And that means that everybody can have different ledger and different ownership data and can be manipulated without anybody being able to control it. This is what makes ACME different from it. We are providing proof of ownership of the data with every single API call. So indexer on ACME is have to commit the cryptographical proof of the state of the assets to every Bitcoin block. And you can use this data to verify cryptographically. It takes in the browser 7 milliseconds to do the math. It's really fast. And you have a proof that something exists in your wallet. No ordinals are providing this. There is no verification, there are no proofs of that they are serving the correct data. There is nothing like that because it's not part of the design. And for ACME, this is the imperative to work this way. So every indexer has to be honest. And with the growth that will come in ACME, every indexer will have to put the data that is actually calculated from transactions to put the hash on a Bitcoin. And then we will be able to see which of the indexers are honest. And ACME protocol will reward these honest indexers with real Bitcoin, with the protocol fees. Nothing of these things that I just talked is present in any of the protocols on Bitcoin. There is no coordination, there is no consensus in between operators. I mean, these are crucial things, and this is the ethos of blockchain, to be decentralized and to be, not to trust anybody. You don't have to trust me that I'm giving your asset and I'm giving the correct balances in your wallet, because you can verify it. it's easy to verify, you know, and really when you play with the API, you will see in the response there is a section which will provide the full JMT proof, like full Merkle trees and all the leaves that collect the data together. You know, this was like a journey for me. It was it was crazy thing to do the cryptography behind this, to ensure that the things are there, and do it with math. I'm psychologist by I studied psychology, not math, not programming, but this was. Please go on.
Yeah. Now, one thing I'll say about that, like, honestly, Maximilian, we did not want to create what most people would call a shitcoin, right? Like ACME token. But we understood the problem with centralized indexing, and in order to get an entire network willing to decentralize all of this data and the ownership of the assets on ACME, that was the only solution we could come up with, is the ACME token. So initially we didn't want that, but we thought, how could we?
Sorry to jump into your speech, but one more very big reason. It's DAO, because ACME is bound to become a DAO, and it's built that way, and you need governance token. It doesn't work without that. Sorry, HP, please.
No, but I'm glad you brought that up, because it's a huge point too. That's how the DAO will be governed, and how decisions will eventually be made through the token holders, right? That will be staking and making decisions in the future.
Yeah, will you talk about the token? Tell us more about that. I was going to ask you about that. So you're right. You're right there. Tell us.
I'll let Mort go after I make this point, so he can get into more of the details of the token. But the reason, like a big reason, is so that we could decentralize the indexing. But what's really cool, we wanted to do something different, because I know that a lot of people that are very tech savvy and have probably done staking in crypto, whether it's staking your Ethereum or your Solana or whatever shitcoin, right? Staking is something that's very big and very popular in the crypto world.
Your degen token.
Your degen tokens too, right? So we were like, okay, they'll stake, and the biggest advantage we're going to have is they're going to help decentralize ownership, right, and decentralize the indexing. But instead of, which almost, I don't know, probably 99%, if not 100% of protocols or projects out there, when you stake, pay you in the native token. So it's like, if it's a shit coin that nobody's heard of, if you're staking, you're going to get paid in that. Solana and Ethereum, you get paid in Solana and Ethereum, which is a little bit different because there's a lot more liquidity for Ethereum and Solana. But there's plenty of other projects where you will stake, and if you get paid in that native token, the liquidity there is nothing. It's almost just non-existent. So let's say you're this whale who put, I don't know, 100,000 into a project, and then it blew up a little bit, and you're staking it, and you're earning rewards. I mean, let's say you 5x your investment, you're now at $500,000 because that token has gone up and you've earned quite a bit of rewards. Can you actually sell all of those tokens back for that $500,000? No, there's no liquidity for that. Almost no project has the liquidity they need to allow a big whale to sell those tokens, right? And take advantage of, well, I staked my tokens, I took the risk, now I want to sell them. Sorry, there's no liquidity. Unless you're on Ethereum or something like that, maybe Solana, you're not going to be able to sell all those tokens. So we are rewarding in Bitcoin. Who doesn't want Bitcoin? It's the most liquid. It's more liquid than Ethereum and Solana, right? So to help decentralize the network, as a validator and a staker, you will be earning Bitcoin that comes from the platform for being a good actor and helping decentralize the protocol and the network.
This is amazing. This is so amazing. Listen, you know what? I like a couple years ago, going back a couple years ago, a longtime friend of mine, he started working on his vision of a Bitcoin marketplace. And, we would talk about the different iterations as it was coming along. And one of my big pain points, because I'm going to always keep it real, especially, I'm too arrogant to lie to anyone about anything. Because to me, when you tell someone a lie, it means I'm afraid that you won't like me if I tell you my truth. And I'm just not, you know what I'm saying? But especially, you know, if someone's a complete stranger, I might weigh like, well, you know, do I owe them this truth? How expensive is it going to be for me? But when it comes to my friends, I'm always, especially if they ask, I'm always very honest, because I want you to be successful. I want you to be successful. And if I withhold my wisdom, you know, I'm not investing in you, my truth, so you can be successful. This was my big pain point that I talked to about. And it was exactly when, I'm so glad you guys are on the level. When people create platforms and they make it so that you're spending a stable coin, I consider Bitcoin, you know, like a stable coin. It's, you know, when you're spending like Bitcoin and then you're going to pay in a coin with no liquidity, like to me, that's a huge disconnect for me. That is just not like, I want Bitcoin, and that is the draw, especially, you know, there's still so few, if you look at it worldwide, and certainly the number is only growing and it's going to continue growing over time, but certainly like we artists, we want to draw people in who are not already in the ecosystem. We got to bring them into the ecosystem. And if I am saying, because my promise is I am bringing people into Bitcoin through art. People who are doing well, like people don't need like an extra complication in their life. You know, people are using dollars. They're going to keep on using their dollars. So we got to give them a really good reason to convert some of those dollars into Bitcoin. You got to do all this education, jump through all these hoops. You got to get a special notebook, got to get a special pen, got to do all this stuff. You know, it's got to be worthwhile. And one of the big draws for crypto art is it can appreciate in value, but that's only true if the value is tied to the OG asset. And I'm so grateful that you guys are on the level, because I really wanted to support some of these other projects, but I felt like they were doing Mickey Mouse with the coin thing. And so this is like the best news ever. So I'm curious. So like, to be a node operator, how does one like get in on even a deeper level? Because obviously, you know, I've heard the story, right? If you, and I'm not saying anyone should do this, but like, you know, if you eat McDonald's French fries every day, you should own stock in McDonald's. You know what I mean? So, so like for someone like myself who really appreciates the protocol, and I want to contribute to this, especially if I'm putting art on here, you know, how could I more deeply serve the interest? How could I be a ACME Protocol node operator?
Yeah, so this is going to be a little bit longer answer because I need to explain things. We have a path to decentralization. That means that we started as a foundation. It's us three founders, and we created the thing. We are creating it. It's still a process. It's already good working, but there is still a lot of work to do. And for the time being, as we are the foundation, we are running the indexer. You basically have the same as with all ordinals. We have a single point of truth. Difference is we provide proofs of our work with everything. Okay, this should move to second stage, which is a federation stage. Federation stage is where there is a group of selected indexers that first of all have enough big stake in ACME token, because you have to get it somehow, and that's the reason for the token. Because if you want to basically contribute to the protocol, you should have your skin in. And you know, for not being honest, you can lose your part of your stake because it's slashing, basic slashing. Because if you are a malicious actor, you will pay for it. It's as simple as that. Yeah, exactly. Yeah, and so we have the federation stage. At this point, there will be a multi-signature wallet that will govern the money. the ACME that was pre-mined for the foundation, for the DAO and everything. And at this stage, also the first governance will pop up, because we expect that initial distribution will be done and staking will be already working, or not working, enabled, because we enable staking after we distribute 30% of the tokens. That's I don't want to start it now, because then somebody who bought for I don't know $100 will will get like I don't know 10 million% API, and not a good idea. Yeah, but okay, let's get back to the path. We are in the federation stage, so it would be 5 node operators. Every node operator will be required to run a Bitcoin node, to run several different dependencies, like an indexer for addresses, which is called Electrum, and some technical things. For this, it will be provided with most likely with Docker images, so you download it and it installs itself. You just put the correct parameters in. It's not that easy, but it's not that impossible to do. If you created a page, the abstraction, then you will be able to make this, with the info provided. So okay, let's move on. We have matured. It's 12 to 18 months now, and the software is in a status where we can do one crucial step, and that step is called open set of indexes. No permission for anybody. If you own certain stake, you can run your indexer. If you are honest, you will get shared from the fees. Simple as that. Open to everyone. With cryptographical proofs and everything. I need to say that the validators or the indexers on ACME, we don't run our own blockchain. We are really indexers over Bitcoin. Bitcoin is our data layer, and we just interpret what is written there and provide proof on that. Yeah, and with the open set of validators comes the full switch to DAO and governance to public. So this is basically the path. And yeah, with enough stake, you can run your own node in roughly a year, and with less stake, it will work as a delegated staking. So if you own, let's say, like a small amount of ACME, you can stake it on one of the indexers that you choose, and he will do the work for you, take a commission from it, like I don't know, 10-20% of your rewards that you would get normally. So you don't need to run the indexer if you have a trusted one that you trust enough to put your money in. And this is the way how the community, even small people that don't invest much money into it, they can get into a game. They can just put money together, and it's not like they send to one person and that then does something. The one person opens the indexer and gets delegated stake, which is all cryptographically proved transactions, and everything is backed by math, and you can't argue the math. Like you learn that it's either 1 or 0, and yeah, so it will be a journey and a lot of fun on the way.
Okay, this is dope. This is really, really dope. So this is looking sustainable beyond like my lifetime.
Yes, I mean, I hope so.
Yeah, I mean this is your vision for it to be sustainable beyond your lifetime, even, is it?
Definitely, it should outlive me.
Yeah, I think that's what we've all been looking for. Yeah. Shoot. HP, what are your thoughts? Do you have anything that you wanted to share?
No, I mean, I'm so glad that you you actually take time to understand some of this, and some of it resonates with you, and some of it you already know, which is really cool because I know the technical side can be boring, but it just goes back to what I was saying is like there is a digital equivalent of everything in the physical world, and you have to understand it if you want to make sure that that piece lives on for your collector, that it lives on for you, that the ownership is in fact it is yours, and it is that information is decentralized. Because if we're going to live or want if we want to put this art on decentralized blockchains, then I think one thing I always say is like should assets or art be equally as distributed and decentralized as Bitcoin itself? And for me the answer is yes. You know, like if there's a piece that I collected that means a lot to me, or I created and it means a lot to me, in some cases, I want to go on chain. In some cases, I want it to live on every single full node. So I go UTXOs. Other cases, I go witness data or op return because I know we'll always live on Bitcoin somewhere, someplace, and I get a great discount. So going on chain, you can be any blockchain, but I always think you should do your due diligence on that as well. And one a great example I can give you, I mention this a lot, is it is zero FUD against Tezos. That some of the best digital art I've ever seen in this space lives on Tezos. However, there is another side to it. Like I said, you have to do your due diligence on your gallery or your canvas. Your blockchain you can think of it as your gallery or your canvas, right? Whatever. And where you choose to be in the digital world is important, because outside of there being some amazing art on Tezos, the reality of it is there still needs to be something more. Is there a dev team that continues to make progress? Is there DeFi on Tezos? Is there real world assets on Tezos? And that probably doesn't matter to 99.99% of artists. But if the
Well,
team is depleting, or if there's nothing else going on the blockchain, DeFi or betting platforms or whatever, then how long is this blockchain where this art was supposed to live forever on the blockchain? How much longer is it going to be there? Because there are other blockchains that have died off, hundreds at this point, that have died off and no longer exist. So it's really something that you have to look into as well, you know, because some of that blockchain may be in that some of that art may be in jeopardy in the future if that blockchain disappears.
well, can we talk about that just for a moment? Because I was thinking about that, and um, I saw a little blurb on Twitter. I don't want to quote it because I didn't do the research, but um, someone released a project that it seemed to imply that it was somehow like funding Tezos. I was not quite sure about that, but it started me thinking about, what is keeping Tezos alive? Um, why do you say that it could be in jeopardy? Um,
The reason I say that is because that if it's being funded, and it's funny because even Ella and Pang mentioned this. We used, Tezos as one of the examples of having some of the best digital art in the space, but Ella, and I don't have all the details of it, but mentioned there's somebody behind it that can fund it for decades to come, 20, 30, 40 years, maybe even beyond that. But
oh,
yeah, so maybe they do that, but again, you're relying unless Tezos picks up its own momentum, creates its own ecosystem where there's, I don't know, real world assets being put on Tezos, that it creates its own DeFi ecosystem and creates a whole economy around that, or Tezos is, I don't know, used for government systems of XYZ country. Like there needs to be usage of that blockchain for it to be sustainable long term. If not, then
I'm
you're
hearing.
relying on somebody to pay for it decades to come to support some digital art that is on Tezos. And I don't know, maybe it happens, maybe it doesn't, but I feel better about Bitcoin and how long Bitcoin will be around, because Bitcoin can die too, right? And I feel good about like Ethereum. I love Ethereum too. I think Bitcoin is the more appealing because it's, I don't know, the God chain, the mother chain, and it's got the largest decentralized distributed network in the world. There's a lot of value in that for me. But Ethereum is seeing some significant adoption from the TradFi world, from Web 2 that's trying to connect AI and blockchain and bring the fourth industrial revolution together through blockchain and crypto. Like, I think there's a promising future for Ethereum and probably a couple other projects as well. But anything beyond that, it's like, it's a little bit of a gamble, and there's some due diligence that needs to happen, because then you're just hoping that an ecosystem evolves and becomes robust enough and grows enough to sustain the little bubble that you're in, or the niche that you're in. I'm generalizing here, but like for the digital art world on that blockchain, right?
Yeah, that's a really interesting perspective, and I have a couple of follow-up questions, if you don't mind, because this is really a
Yeah.
talk, really discussing like value, right? Because it is more expensive to put art on Bitcoin, and especially as we discussed different methods. But I just wanted to, build a little clarity around. I noticed that you mentioned real world assets, and when you talk about the things that you feel would extend the lifespan, the potential lifespan that you see, for example, for Tezos, but this also applies to any other chain, right? The word that you didn't say that I was reading between the lines is liquidity. Is that really what we're talking about? Is, there should be something besides art on the chain to keep it alive and to help it grow and develop the robustness, that the liquidity that we're all seeking. Is that right?
That's a whole nut that's a whole nother variable there, right? Because if you're trying to sell your art, right, there needs to be liquidity there, and like you said, the blockchain has to create that liquidity. But if you're just talking creative outlet, then and you just want to create digital art and you're not even selling it, that art might disappear same way it could whether you're selling it or not, right? Like, it can still disappear whether you're selling your art or not. But the other side of that is there needs to be liquidity so that you can sell that art on Tezos. And one thing, like we talked about, is the price of Tezos. When I was talking to Ella and Peng about that, it's like, man, there's some stuff listed on Tezos where it used to be listed for like 30 Tezos, and that was like, under $100 back in the day or more, But now it's like, with the price of Tezos, you're getting this for a few dollars. And if somebody didn't delist that and relist it for what they actually want to get, man, these people, I did it myself. I scooped up some Tezos art for pennies on the dollar, basically, because you'll go back and look at the date that it was listed. It's like, holy shit, that was listed 2 years ago, and they wanted this much in Tezos back then. That was over $100. Now I'm grabbing it for $5. So
Yeah.
yeah, the liquidity is a problem too.
Ooh, that is. But I think the one thing that keeps Bitcoin separate from, or I shouldn't say separate, but it's Bitcoin, in my opinion, stands in a class all its own, since certain countries have made it the official currency. And to be totally transparent, even though I've been a fan of Bitcoin for so many reasons, like we could discuss on and on ad infinitum, I really never promoted art on Bitcoin or tried to, tell people like, hey, this is actually something I think you should pay attention to, until I saw, okay, countries are making this their currency. When I saw that happening, I said, okay, this is going to be around, because that's a huge move and it's only going to increase. And then it did, more and more countries saying, okay, this is going to be our currency. And I think that is a reason alone for it to be like worthwhile. That you know, it's not like it's not a niche anymore. If it's a currency of a country, it's got legs of its own, and that's a thing. You were talking earlier about Ethereum, and the thing about Ethereum, love Ethereum. I put like my first art was on Ethereum, but um, again, like as things swell, like there's been times where it's been the price that can swing like wild, like just so wildly. So and unlike like so with ACME Protocol, we have like these 4 different ways to get art on chain, but with Ethereum, there's been a handful of times where I couldn't afford to put my art on chain, because it's like, oh, if I do it right now, it's going to cost me $300 or whatever, because somebody was doing something and there was a lot of network activity. And I know the same is true for Bitcoin, that also there's some fluctuation. But there's more options. So I'm seeing Bitcoin still as an outlier in terms of what the other chains have to offer.
I can tell you one thing to it. It's all the other chains that you used, let's say Ethereum, like, I don't know, Base, Tezos, they are purposely made to cater assets. They have these official protocols and official standards for tokens, for NFTs. Bitcoin doesn't have that. This is why ACME is built, to provide the functionality on top of it, because Maxis will not allow assets on Bitcoin by default. They don't want it. But I am sure that we find a way to keep the lamp alive and the ball fed. You know, we are not those worst guys that are making graffiti on their front of their houses and on their, I don't know, trains or whatever. You know, we are trying to be nice. I mean, use the protocol as it is intended to be used. Pay for whatever we have to pay. Not to look for like deals with miners to include our shitty transactions that are not in consensus, because you can do that with miners and money. You know, you can do these things. We don't do that. I would say I don't give a F about it. I mean, I do it as you wrote. There are rules, there is consensus, and I am using it exactly the way. You don't like the way that I am following the rules, so come on, man. What else should I do? Like, to use the protocol the way that you described it. I'm doing it, and I managed to be able to create an asset layer on top of the protocol. So, I mean, let's talk. Maybe we can do it. We can do it together and official in 10 years. Then we will find out that it makes sense. We will see.
It makes sense. It does. You know, that reminds me. So on ACME Protocol, are we using parent-child? And how do collections look? On some other protocols that I looked into but didn't bite the bait. On some other protocols, I saw like I can do parent-child and then create collections from that. And
yeah.
how would a collection look on ACME?
Yeah, you can do parent-child there. Over. Period. Done. You don't have much more choices to make the connections between assets. You can reference from your child to parent, and that's basically it. On ACME, we took completely different approach. We are binding assets to address. Ordinals are binding assets to UTXO. That means to unspent Bitcoin in your wallet, which you can by mistake spend for fees and your asset is gone. This is happening every day, like many times. It actually happened to a guy when we started ACME. That is a funny story. You know, there is always this chase to mint the first asset. And there was a guy who minted the first asset before me. And he spent his ordinal on it. And it was inscription number 256, like under 1K. It's worth like several Bitcoins. And I was laughing so much about it because he was trying to front run me. And what happened? The thing that I'm advocating for, don't use ordinals because you can spend your assets just like that. And it happened. One day I can show you. I had even all the transactions. I saved it because it was so fun to to see. So
That is karma.
yes, fucking yes, that is karma.
Yes.
The thing about ordinals is like they're fragile, you know. Like if you're buying into a UTXOs, you can spend it for anything you're doing. If you like, I've heard of people trying to like use their same exact wallet with Counterparty or Stamps or now with Acme, and they've spent their ordinals just trying to pay for the transaction, and that art is lost forever. If it goes to a miner and you can't get a hold of them, you lost your ownership to that art piece forever. You know, yes, it will always be on Bitcoin, but you've lost it.
But I have to add that I was the nice guy, and it landed in my wallet and in the protocol wallet, and I returned it.
Oh, you're definitely getting into heaven.
No.
Sorry, I won't be there to hang out with you, but
Yeah, I prefer partying. You know. But yeah, I wanted to finish with the thought before. So in ACME, we bind the assets to the wallet, which created it, and we don't move the UTXO, and based on that we guess the provenance. You know, we are not referring imaginary satoshis, because Satoshi as something, Satoshi is the smallest part of Bitcoin that you can divide it to. But on the protocol level, Bitcoin doesn't recognize Satoshi. It's just an accounting thing. It's not a protocol primitive. So you can't basically point to one Satoshi and say this is the one, because they are all the same. And what ordinals are trying to do, they are trying to number the Satoshis and assign asset to a certain Satoshi. But the problem is that the least amount of Bitcoin you can move is 330 Satoshis. So which of these 330 is the one with your asset? Or is there more assets in the bunch that you can move? These are things that are like, it's not even funny when you think about that this is the tech that is, you know, catering for people and for millions of dollars for assets. It's completely crazy that this is happening.
nobody talks about this. Nobody talks about this. And when ordinals first came out, I was explaining it to my mom, right? My mom's my number one patron. You know, she's always the first, you know, person to say, "Oh, I like that," or, you know, "Let me buy one," or something. And so I was explaining what I start off by saying a Satoshi is like equivalent to a penny. It's the smallest unit, right? If Bitcoin is like $1, right? A Satoshi is like a penny. And so I used to describe an ordinal would be like if I took a little chisel and I carved an image onto a penny. That's what I used to say. Imagine I carved an image onto a penny and I gave it back to you, right? But you know, that only explains part of it. The other part that you just hit upon about not being able to differentiate is really important. And this is still something I'm a little bit trying to wrap my head around. And so let me ask you then. So if I'm putting art on Bitcoin, ACME Protocol, it's not an ordinal. What do we call it? And what's on your mind, HP?
Now I wanted you to finish your point. I hope I'm not interrupting.
Question. No, that was it.
Oh,
If
okay.
it's on ACME Protocol, it's not an ordinal because we already said the ordinals are fragile, and to be an ordinal, it's attaching the art to the UXTO, right?
I will explain this very quickly. Being an ordinal means that you assigned the Satoshi number to a certain part of the witness data. That is ordinal by the ordinals theory. With ACME, we are using the second part. We are using the witness to store the data. But we are not creating an ordinal, because creating ordinal means that it has to follow certain rules. Like somewhere has to be written ORD somewhere along the way. We don't do that. Therefore, our assets are not indexed by ordinals, are not visible by ordinals, and we are just using the part of Bitcoin for storage. It has nothing to do with ordinals. Only that we are using the same storage, same technology, same stack for storing the data. But for us, it is only one of 4 methods, which I can add another 3 if we run out of these and whatever. It's yeah. There is plan for everything. I mean, if there is no plan, I will make one. And yeah, so it is like this, that we are using same tech, but not relying to some theory that is just a theory. Cryptography is the key. Math is the differentiator, and you can't argue with a cryptographic function. Or you can, but good luck. I mean, it's like talking to the wall,
If you try to argue,
Yeah, no, so when you use that example of the pennies, I was like going nuts. Oh, that's exactly one that I use a lot, because the reality, it's similar actually. The reality of, like, a lot of people think that they're the actual sats that are on Bitcoin, and that's not the case. And they clearly stated in their GitHub in one little area, but they don't like to advertise it a whole lot, because they say that the Satoshis on Bitcoin are assumed. Because if you know how Bitcoin works, then if I'm a miner and I earn the reward of the Bitcoin because I figured out, I mined that block myself, then I'm entitled to so many Bitcoin, right? Which is so many Satoshis. But what happens sometimes is, like, however many Bitcoin I earned for mining that block, it's a specific number of Satoshis. And for some reason, they don't claim all of the Satoshis. They might leave 10 of them, or they might leave 500. They might leave a couple thousand, which doesn't seem like much. Like, that's pennies. If you do the math on it, it's just pennies that they're leaving behind. But if it's 2,000 Satoshis that they leave in that block, those Satoshis, according to the Bitcoin protocol, essentially become useless at that point. They will never be put out into the entire supply of Bitcoin ever. After you claim your block, the Satoshis that are in there, and you don't claim it all, those few Satoshis are now unusable forever.
and what are those leftovers called?
Oh, what is that? Mark might know the exact.
Ordinally with this okay, these Satoshis cease to exist. They disappear, really. And ordinals assume they exist. Period.
Oh.
Yeah, so what happens is, the assumption there is, let's say, just to make math easy, let's say there's 100 Satoshis in a block, right? Well, there's a lot more than that. Let's say there's 100, but the miner claims 98. What ordinals theory does is say every block has 100. Every block. So we're just going to keep numbering ordinals according to that assumption that every block has 100. So those 2 that were left behind on the Bitcoin protocol, those never get numbered. Ordinals assigns 100 for that particular block, assigns 100 for the next block, and those 2 that got left behind are that is where you break the consensus. That's where you are no longer following the Bitcoin protocol, and you're now in your protocol consensus. So to use that little.
Sorry to jump into this, but even if you actually, the problem is that if there is a shift of 1 Satoshi in ordinals theory, it would mean that the ownership of all the assets is wrong, because the number will shift by 1, and if you own Satoshi 1001, suddenly, you don't own 1001, which was your asset. You own 1002, which was somebody else's asset, and you can see that hitting the fan. I mean, a huge one.
Yeah, so that's what I was getting. That's kind of getting at too. Is like, there's just assumptions. So the kind of the analogy I use is like, well, what if I just create this new little program or new little collectibles where it's like they're $100 bills, and I, like you said with your penny, I start marking them, I somehow do a little bit of research and I figure out, oh, guess what? This $100 bill was at some point owned by Michael Jordan. This $100 bill was at some point owned by Elvis Presley, and I have to get you to agree. I have to get more to agree, which consensus can be powerful, right? It is extremely powerful. But if I get you guys to agree, then guess what? That $100 bill was owned by Elvis Presley or Michael Jackson or Madonna or anybody, right? Like they were owned by those. So those are my rare sats, right? But that's not, unless I have an actual a factual way of proving that it was actually owned by Elvis Presley, then you're just in consensus with these special sats or these sats that I'm
rare
labeling.
sats is really rare. These are assumptions based on ledger activity.
1 million percent.
After you break that first block where you're making an assumption on a protocol level and you're no longer at the Bitcoin level, because to do it, and Casey said this before, to actually follow the sats on Bitcoin, it would be almost block by block and knowing what sats could be used for ordinals, which nobody has the time for that. Nobody's going to do that. It would probably cost, I don't know, ungodly amounts of money to try to follow the actual sats of Bitcoin. So the second that the very first block when the ordinal protocol is created breaks Bitcoin consensus and protocol and then starts saying, well, let's just assume that it was 100 sats in this block, 100 for the next, 100 for the following, and we'll just name all our sats that way. That's a protocol specific consensus that you have to get everybody to agree to, which everybody has done, and everybody just kind of assumes that, well, they're the actual sats on Bitcoin. They're not. They're inspired by, which is cool, but it's not them. It's not the actual Bitcoin protocol.
Woo! Gosh, this is going to be heartbreaking for some people. I mean, there's a lot of people that, have spent hours and hours trying to acquire rare sats to make Satoshis and make them more valuable. So many times I've heard conversations about how much someone paid for one because of its history, nefarious or otherwise. And this is really blowing my mind right now. So, but you know what? I want to create without illusions. I don't want to be like building inside of something that is not a truth, and then be selling a false story on.
Yeah, I mean it's not fun at all because I like to do my due diligence, and I'm not anywhere near as tech savvy as Mort is. I'm not a dev, but this interests me. Like I think there's a balance you got to have between understand what the hell you're getting into versus like wanting to create art and have fun on a blockchain. Like you still have to do your due diligence, and this is through like years at this point of trying to understand blockchain and different protocols and understand the technology myself. And it's, again, not fun. Like if you go into their GitHub, it clearly states that those sats are assumed, but it's not something that you want to advertise if you're trying to create a whole marketplace and economy around something like rare sats and tying the data to Satoshis that are linked to the Bitcoin protocol. It's a protocol specific thing that is fun and novel, and sorry if you thought that some of the Satoshis actually part of the Bitcoin protocol.
I did, but you know what? I did, but I always knew that there was stuff I didn't know, and I wanted to know those things because believing something to be special for some reason that's fabricated is not the life that I want to live. That's like the story of the little boy whose dad pays everyone so that his son can have the best day on the field and do all the strikeouts and everything. And then after the game, the kid learns that his dad paid everyone, not to run as fast or whatever, let them get tagged out or whatever. And, that's not the life I want to lead. I want to understand what the value is. And that's why I ask, these questions, because there is assumed value. And then there's actual value. And then also value is already subjective. But let the value that is already subjective be based on something that is based in reality. Let it be valuable because you love the art and you love Bitcoin, not because some Bitcoin cabal said that this coin, yeah.
And they are home.
Yeah, and when I say you, I'm not referring to you. I'm like speaking in general here because I've gone through all that myself, and I own rare sats. I've created a ton on ordinals, and I've had a lot of fun doing it. I'm never getting rid of those, and like I enjoyed the whole process, the whole journey of like trying to learn all the stuff because it's a lot for anybody. But if you put the time in, at least do it on a basic surface level. Like a lot of times, you will get enough information to make good decisions on how, where, and why to put your art on XYZ blockchain.
Yes. Now I'm thinking I do have, so there's just like one question. So like for me to put a work on today, right? Because I'm totally going to do that. What is the process? Should we go to the website, or shall we talk through it, or what's the process? I have an HTML file, right?
When you have HTML, I have an Artcore Studio on the page that you can paste your HTML and you will see how it will render.
Should I do that now? Shall we go and look at it?
Yeah, I think that would be the best idea.
All right. Let me open. What is the website? ACME.
.pix. P-I-C-S.
All right. Let me do this. I'm going to open this and I'll share my screen here. Now, at some point, I may run into an issue because I think that I might not have put my wallet on here. But let's get as far as we can. Let's see.
Yeah, let's see.
Yeah. Let's see. Get as far as we can. I'm going to share my screen here.
If you want, we can also go to testnet where you can play with test Bitcoin and not to spend money.
Oh yeah. Okay. All right. Let's see. We get as far as we can here, and let me. Okay. How does this look? Can you see the screen?
Perfect.
All right. So I'm gonna. So when I flip over here, can you guys still see me?
Yes.
Okay, great. All right, because for me, it's the full. I'm looking at the full page. So I'm happy to navigate around. Like it's not only for myself, but for anyone watching. So let's do this thing. And I'm not necessarily in a hurry to mend immediately. Maybe there's some other things that you want to point out, and just tell me where to go. And feel free to tell us what's going on as we're going. So I'm here on acme.pix.
Yeah. Okay. So let's try it. Do you want to go to the assets or go to the page first?
Let's go to the page first. Did you say, shall I click on the Artcore Studio or?
That's for a minting. If you want to go to the page, let's start from the top, from the explore.
Okay.
And here you have 3 things to explore: assets, profiles, and collections. So assets or profiles and collections are special types of assets in ACME. They are self-explanatory. You create your profile and you link your artwork to the profile. You link your artwork to the collection, and it will stay on chain forever. And you can get the info from the API. So if you want to display all your collections that you put on ACME, you can even reference your Ethereum or Tezos art here and have it displayed in a way, and it will stay on chain forever. Again, the Cortex system is made especially for keeping the context of art on chain. So yeah, you will have a lot of fun. You will see. Yeah, so you see collections. When you click on collection, you will see it you will see the items in it.
Here's art by Socks.
Yeah.
Love Socks. Wow, this is really cool. And these are, so I heard you say Tezos. What's the connection? How is that working?
I want to give we want to give the artist the opportunity to create their whole body of work on chain on Bitcoin. So that means that they can reference their art on Tezos, and I create a system that will display the art. It will not take the assets. or whatever, not migrate, is just for the display and to have the, to have all your works in one place, and you can reference them from here. So, for example, if you go to your Tezos collection and click on the art, it will bring you to some Tezos marketplace or some Tezos, I don't know, blog, or depends on data. So this is one of those things. Yeah, these are assets. Yeah, that's my picture, the wheel. that was a funny one. You know what is wet plate collodion? It's like a photography style from 19th century. You pour on a plate and then you put it into silver and put it in a great camera. So this is a picture made that way.
Oh, wow.
It's a tin type. It's actually on a piece of black tin.
Oh, my.
Yeah, one of
Cool.
my things that I like to do in the past.
That is amazing.
Yeah, you have
This
to.
is really cool. It's like this is how we keep art alive. Even like art forms from, other lifetimes still are coming alive here.
When I started with it, it was like magic, because I made the picture with my hands. It was piece of tin. It was some smelly chemicals and and a big 20 kilos camera made of wood and leather. But
Wow.
so much satisfaction with this. It's like,
This is pretty amazing. Now
yeah,
go ahead, please.
yeah. I wanted to ask HP to take over this part, and I will come back with the minting then.
Yeah, no problem. I wanted to add something with the Cortex because your question about Tezos, like we didn't even get to the Cortex. I know we've been on for a couple of hours and it's been great. Like I thank you for giving us the opportunity to explain ACME.
Oh yeah.
About it, obviously, so you can see, because we've been working on it for over a year now, and we just like with all this cabal talk, like every few weeks things change, the narrative changes, right? Like lately it's the cabal, like. One of the solutions to a lot of the issues that we're seeing out there, it was like the drama when Foundation left, the drama when Magic Eden left. Now these cabals are taking over and destroying digital art and artists and the whole thing. Like a part of the solution is empowering artists again by giving them decentralized ownership, decentralized platforms, decentralized marketplaces, permissionless, trustless marketplaces where they can transact. And that's what we're trying to do here. When you do that and you give that to creators and artists, they have a lot of the tools that they need to not have to go through these, I don't know, cabals or these centralized platforms that at any point, if they want to change ledgers or data or they want to dip out, they have all the freedom to do so because they don't owe you a single thing. There are rules and whatever you have to follow to play on their platform. They can pull the plug on it at any point. But like Mort gave you the example of the API, like you could connect some of those the sales to your pieces through the API and do your own thing on your website because it's all done through Bitcoin in a trustless, permissionless way, right? Like we want to give the power back to the artist and creator so you have a lot less risk and a lot less trust that has to happen on centralized parties and platforms, right? So that's what we're trying to accomplish with ACME. And the Cortex is something we didn't really touch on, but to sort of like answer your question about Tezos and everything,
I'm very interested in that.
So he started with create.
Say it again?
Go for it.
Oh, okay. I was just gonna say, I was surprised to hear you say that because, well, I was surprised to hear you say that, just period. And then, referring back earlier in the conversation, there is an extraordinary amount of excellent art on Tezos. Like I've seen some things that I really like, and I'm very hard to please because I love my own art, but I see a lot of art that I want to collect and have, and understanding that, there's not a lot of liquidity compared to the mother chain. So I'm very interested in understanding the bridge or the connection between Tezos art and ACME and how it can show up here. And here's a question too. So for art that's created on Tezos, you're saying it can show up here, and then like, can people pay Satoshis for it? How does that work?
Yeah, we haven't gotten to that far. If we are able to accomplish something like that in the future, it would be cool. But right now, the reason that I say, oh, you can connect Tezos art to it is because along with all this tech that's boring for most, but built for the artist to empower them again, we really wanted to be focused on the artist and the creator and all the tools that we have. The 3-click minting for somebody that's just like, I just want an asset on Bitcoin. It's always been such a pain in the ass. I don't want to deal with that anymore. Can you make something simple, please? Sure. There's 3-click minting. Or if you want a war chest of tools and you want a generative art studio, you want to do recursive collections, you want to really do something big with the Cortex, it's all there if you want to play with it. So what is the Cortex? Going back to create, if you create your profile, it's not just a profile on ACME. That data, that wallet, that signature, everything is connected, and it's information, it's data that's on Bitcoin forever, right? So if you create your profile on ACME, it lives on ACME, but it also lives on Bitcoin, on chain, and forever. So that means that you can connect anything that you create on ACME to that profile, which is connected to your wallet address, and you can confirm it and verify it through signatures that you sign yourself from your own wallet, which is something that is data that's going to be put on Bitcoin, that this wallet that belongs to this person signed this transaction, which ties this piece that they created on ACME to that profile. But you can also connect pieces outside of the ACME ecosystem to your profile. You can sign that a specific collection or specific pieces on Tezos do in fact belong to your profile that is on chain and on Bitcoin and will exist as long as Bitcoin exists, right? And you can say that, yes, I created that collection on Tezos, or I created these pieces on Tezos. I've signed cryptographically right here that it's a part of my profile and it's a part of my Cortex here on ACME, which is on Bitcoin. So you can connect your entire body of work as an artist to an on-chain profile that lives on Bitcoin forever. So if you've done stuff on Tezos, on Solana, on Ethereum, you can connect all of those collections and all of that work so that there's one centralized area. And if Mort wants to explain a little bit more about the Cortex, if you click on Cortex, he can do that. But it's a way for you to connect your entire body of work and have that stuff live on chain, not just to the foundation platform or just the Magic Eden platform. Like, you can really connect it to Bitcoin and have it on chain outside of everything on ACME. Go ahead.
Very bottom.
Okay, I'm like, where is the Cortex? Oh, into the universe. Okay. Oh, wow. Oh my gosh.
Whoa.
Oh my gosh. Oh my gosh. Okay. What is this we are looking at here?
And can you now imagine there will be tens of thousands of assets and all your collections connected to your profile and displayed in the universe with the weight of your art calculated in the math will take care about the gravity of the works, and it's a universe. It's like a neural network. Then you will have like things like collaborations between artists. It will be visible here. There will be a link between the artists, between collections. Then, I mean, I will send you something for reading, a white paper for this, and some materials. It's for me fascinating, and I did it. It is amazing myself from time to time what is coming out of it, because these are not lists of artworks. These are real connections in between assets. They bear the context of it, and when you reach some critical mass of data, something new will pop up out of it, because it has meaning inside. And I can't wait to collect some really well-tuned LLM to this, to have it explained by the machine with all these connections. And this will be very very interesting part of the system. And you can use it for things like curation of collections that is completely public and completely visible, collaborations, creating collections, and it's a lot of things. And yeah, and if you have an idea how to make this visually better, please hit me.
Well, my first thing is, when I looked at it, I felt like I immediately understood what it was. So, so it might be that there's not really a great improvement. You know what I mean? Because it might already be how it should be. More isn't always necessarily better. And I can see how the connections are connected with these lines. And so, for example, I see here the ACME podcast, and now I see there's some labels. It says collection, video, podcast,
click on anybody.
Yes, these are text. When you click on the asset,
yeah,
it will open here, and then you can follow it to the details and everything.
Okay. So here, let me this is really fun. All right, let me slide over here. And for anyone who's trying to do this, the key is to hold down the shift button and then drag if you want to do this, right? So let me click. I saw HP's collection I was trying to get to around here, but you're saying I can click on anyone. Here's one.
On the top panel, near Cortex, you can see the collections. Artists, you can click on collections, and it will give you the list.
Yeah, you got
okay.
filtering.
All right.
And then you click on one, it should zoom to it, or not.
it's like a visual. I just say it's like a visual representation of everything you've connected on chain to your profile. It's a way of visualizing it, because like Mort was saying, like, yes, you can do you have the whole universe, you can filter it to collections, filter it to artists, but when you create an asset on ACME, you have like 20 different tags that you can use, or you can create your own custom tags. So Maximilian, if you're doing generative art, or you're doing interactive art, or it's a one of one, or it's a Genesis, or it's SVG art, or it's anything, you can put that tag on it, and then you can even filter through the Cortex those tags. So if you want to go see all the SVG work on ACME, there's different tags that you can filter. There you go. There's the tags. Like you can filter through all those. So it's kind of cool that you can also, you put that piece on chain, but you can connect it to your profile. You can connect it to a collection. You can connect it through certain tags that you want to put for that specific piece.
Yeah, I call it usually that there is these relations tags, and this is good for discovery of the artworks, because when you will have there like 10,000 pixel art images, you click on it and you can go through it and see. It's very complicated to get these aggregations in normal databases and with normal approach. It will be very different with this.
Yeah. So you were earlier. You were on collections. So when you were looking for specific tags, if those tags don't exist on that collection, then it won't highlight it. But if you go to artist or universe or collections and you click on a specific tag, as long as one of those pieces has that tag, it will light up. So you can see some highlighted there for universe, and you clicked on, what was that tag? I can't see it. Oh, Pepe art. Yeah. So see, those are some tags that I put. If it's like a Pepe piece, like I label it as I put that tag on there so that, a year from now, 5 years from now, 20 years from now, like if somebody wants to jump on and see all the Pepe art that's on ACME, then that's been labeled on chain as Pepe or Pepe art or any of that, you have those tags to play with and filter through it. It's still very, very new. Like we just released mainnet not too long ago. So the opportunity for this cortex to grow, I mean, wow, you can imagine this insane universe or visualization of information that's on chain on Bitcoin, right?
We don't hear you, or I don't hear you at least.
I think you're on mute, maybe.
What
It's
about
still mute.
okay, hold on.
Oh, right there.
Am I back?
Good.
Okay, yeah,
Yeah.
my microphone just turned itself off. Like, I'm tired. I might have to switch my microphone. If it happens again, definitely let me know. But so yeah, so let me see. I just lost my train of thought there. I know one thing I was going to say is discoverability really is an issue, and that harkens back to the whole.
I think the mic just went out again. Okay.
All right. What about now? Are we
Now
back?
you're back. You're back.
Okay, yeah, I had to switch microphones. So, you know, this the universe is really great for discoverability. It's a really to me, this is an answer to the whole cabal thing, because one thing that, you know, I see a lot of artists, it's like a pain point, is discoverability. You know, everyone's trying to get on that front page or whatever. And, you know, I think I'm not alone in this. When I'm collecting art, I'm doing it by theme. I'm like, oh, I want something of the ocean or of Pepe or whatever like that. So these labels are great, and I think really important for discoverability. It's really useful. And so I have the opportunity to add those labels when I inscribe my piece.
Yeah, or after. So if you can do it as you're minting your art on ACME, if you decide later, like, you know what, I really want this Pepe piece to be a part of a collection, I'm going to a collection. Then all you do again is, and it's all done through signatures and fully on chain, even outside of ACME, that data will live on Bitcoin forever. You can go back and connect it to a specific collection, or you can go give it a tag and like, oh man, I forgot to put, this is an SVG piece, or this is an HTML, or this is interactive, whatever. I forgot to put that tag. You can always go back and do that, which is really cool. So
yeah,
you have some room to play there even after the fact.
Yeah, that's really unique, because I'm used to having to make all my decisions at the time of minting. Although a lot of places allow us to like update the metadata, which is helpful, which is good. I'm looking now at the Artcore Studio, and this looks intimidating.
Yeah, definitely. Thank you for the compliment. It was my intention.
Yeah, no, and it looks intimidating, but I know that when I see a lot of controls like this, it just lets me know that I'm going to be able to really dial in, you know, whatever the experience is that I'm looking to create.
Yeah. So let's try. On the top, near the Artcore Studio, written, you see P5.js. So when you click on it, you basically can load. Come on, open, drop down.
Okay.
You can use different, libraries. The libraries are basically minted on chain already. So if you want to use v5.js, you don't use CDN, you don't use any link to internet. You use a link to Bitcoin asset. So it's already on chain. Everything that is used in generative art on ACME is on chain. I don't want any outside things in it, because then you have problem. They go offline always. Yeah. So please try to select you see the particle system, but on the right side. Yeah. Click and select there's something else. So you see a generative art. When you click the run with the play on the right side, it will yes, that one. It will create new.
Oh.
So each of these is calculated with its own seed. So when you go to the left side, you see the seed drawer. Yes. And here you have the seed grid on the bottom. Yeah.
Oh. Ah.
So you see the different variations you can get from one piece of HTML using different seed for randomness, and so on. So you can have an idea that this studio can do things. And what is good about it, it is using exactly the same stuff as the page later when displaying. So what you see here is 100% what you will get. So you can rely on this. I mean, you can take your HTML and mint it as a file, no problem. Or you can test it here, and there is a nice mint art button that will take it to the mint at the end.
Oh, okay. So is this where I would copy and paste my HTML?
Yes.
And it's going to show the preview?
I hope so.
Okay, well, let's try it real quick. Let me shrink this down just a moment here, and let me grab my code. This is something I was just working on today and yesterday. Let's see. Let me grab this code real quick. Hold on.
So if your HTML is just ready to go, like you can obviously mint it just to the create page. But if you want to really utilize some of these tools here in the Artcore Studio, then yeah, absolutely, you can load it and then start playing with it. But if you're ready to mint and it's just an HTML that's ready to go, you can just create it through, or you can mint it through the creation page too. Just depends. Do you want to play? You know, like that's why I say 3-click minting, so it's easy. But a war chest of tools if you really want to get.
Please click on Final HTML on the top of the code now. No, a little bit down.
Oh, okay.
Yeah, and select everything and paste it here because it is wrapping your HTML into other one.
Oh. So this is let's see, I can. Okay, all right. So this is a piece I minted. Now we realize that we're looking at this window is dynamic and the piece is dynamic. It's supposed to be.
Yeah, it seems like a really low resolution of the.
Say again?
It seems like a low resolution for the whole page, you know.
I mean, when you say low resolution for the whole page, what do you mean exactly?
That you know, it's like scaled up, zoomed or something. For I believe it's for the stream that it doesn't give you a resolution, okay. But it puts down.
Okay.
Yes, I totally know what you're talking about. Yeah, that is something that I have learned is that it doesn't look great on stream, but IRL it does. It looks really.
Yes, if it is reactive, as you said, if it's reactive design, it will work like a charm. So we can try, for example, you can leave the Artcore Studio and drop the file in the mint, but for that you have to connect your wallet.
Yes. Okay. But that's like the easy steps, right?
Yeah,
to mint, right? This is the part that I think everybody needed to see is how do I get my file in the system? How do I get it in the machine, right? So to me, as I'm sitting here and I apologize for people watching on stream if the art doesn't look great to you, but I'm telling you back here, it looks amazing. So this is the part where if I was ready to mint, I would just hit the mint button. Is that true?
Yes.
And what about metadata? Like, is that all going to show up when I hit mint, or am I going to first be asked to sign in?
When you hit mint, it will open the context for the mint. You need just to connect the Unisat if you have it installed. You don't need to have money there or whatever.
Yes, you know what? This is
Yeah.
now this part, because when I do my live streaming, it is a different, it's like a
Yeah,
different,
sure. I
yeah,
mean,
different browser.
for the metadata,
Mhm.
Cortex is the solution for metadata in ACME. It's different approach. It's not you sending some JSON somewhere. You create the context of your art here by, if, for example, you are minting your asset and you select from the asset, I am pointing to Maximilian profile. This is my artist, and I also belong to the collection, Maximilian's first collection. And you just tick this or write this during the mint, and it will show in the graph.
Okay, so you're saying during the mint, and you mentioned Cortex, you're saying that's where it's going to show up.
Yes, you will have just to fill like artist name, a collection name. You can pick from the text. You can, there are different things like with profiles, you have your socials and the web page and other things. With collections, you have different data. Anywhere you can put descriptions and stuff. It's like filling the form for metadata. But
Okay.
it is not doing that metadata thing, but it's doing something else. You don't need to understand what it's doing. You will just see the result, and the result is kind of pleasing.
Yeah,
And
this.
I think to really get to show that, you have to have your wallet connected, because the creation page is where we try to make it like the Art Core Studio is when artists have experience with generative art and they really want to play. But if you just, like, for example, this file right here, I would just mint it in the create with the create tab, because you would just load it, choose a name for it, profile, if you want it connected to collection, put the metadata in if you want to.
Yeah.
And mint. It's super easy. So I sent you a link to a live demo I did yesterday.
Oh, okay.
Where I spent 20 minutes just saying, hey, here's how you mint your profile, here's how you mint a collection, here's how you mint art on ACME. And
where did you send
it
it
to you in Telegram? But if yeah, so it's on X, and if anybody watches it, it'll show you that exact create tab and how to use it, and it's super fast. Like, I mint assets with just a few clicks, and I talk them through it, and I'm doing it on the testnet. So remember that we have a testnet. At any point that you want to use the testnet, talk to Mort, and we'll let you use the testnet. We're working with another artist right now who's an established artist like yourself, and he's very interested because he loves the tech behind it, and he wants options like this on Bitcoin, and he's playing with the testnet right now. And that's a way for you to understand the platform, understand the capability of the tools, and you're not gonna spend any money. And we have free testnet Bitcoin that we can give you to play, and you can do all these things in the testnet if that's what you want to do. Especially if you're going to create an entire collection, like, you should probably do it and test it on the testnet. So what other protocol has an art studio built in, has a testnet for you to play with, has 3-click minting that you can all built into the protocol? I mean, it's everything you need.
This is absolutely incredible. Yes, I'm only sorry that I realized only too late that my Bitcoin wallet was not connected on here, but it's okay. I can still record that, and I can still do it, and I can still show everyone what that looks like, and take my time filling in the form and the description and stuff like that. Yeah, this is great.
We have our Telegram. Anybody can jump in, and myself or any of the other founders will help out, or community members. You can always reach out on X. If artists want to connect for a call, just like we did today, like, we're happy to do that. We want to make sure that we're answering all the questions, especially for artists that want to come create on ACME, and they're taking that that risk and that bet on us. We want to make sure that they feel very comfortable with the tools they have and how to use the tools, and use the testnet if they want to test before they actually mint. And that's what we're trying to do. Like, the marketplace is another thing that blows my mind, because that's a trustless, permissionless marketplace built into the protocol. You don't have to go mint your asset somewhere. It's all built into the protocol itself. So you don't have to mint your asset and then bring it to a protocol, or allow a centralized platform marketplace to sell to trade the art. And so within the marketplace, we have a DEX, which allows you to trade ACME asset for ACME asset. So if I want to trade some of my art with your art, we can create a DEX order for that.
What?
Yeah, you can trade. You can trade with other artists. Like you can trade up straight up for their assets or their art. If you wanted to trade it for a fungible token or ACME itself, the ACME token, you can do that all through a DEX order. If you want to do auctions, we talked about auctions and how easy those are.
Yeah.
Offers is another thing you mentioned. I can make an offer for one of your pieces. Let's say I see something pop up on ACME and I'm like, holy crap, what is that? Like I want that art piece. And I see it's Maximilian's piece. She hasn't listed it yet. I can make an offer in ACME, in another ACME asset, or Bitcoin for your piece. And it will be a trustless DEX order offer that I make to you. And if you want to accept it, you can. If you don't want to, you don't have to. But offers is the third option. And then the fourth is additions, which we talked about. So all of that in our marketplace built into the protocol.
I'm looking at, okay, I want to make sure that I can get to these places. So I'm looking at orders, but where are you talking about?
These are orders that you just opened.
And
you can see that, for example, the second asset, limbo.ed. Yeah, that's HP's asset. And when you go back now, you can see that HP is selling it and asking 15,000 Satoshi for it. So this is offer, this is sell offer, and there is all next to it on the right side is buy offer. You can see the small annotation in the.
Am I doing this right?
Yeah.
Selling. Yeah. Okay.
And these are you filtered basically now the buying, and these are somebody is offering ACME for this asset, and you can also do asset. This is what we wanted to have a barter, than just to change things. We wanted it because we might come with some gamified, I don't know, trading cards, something that we'll want to not to sell, but to swap things in between collectors, or some fun. So why not to provide the solution for exchanging asset for asset, not only to sell.
So if I have an asset created, I can go here to the order navigation, and then I would tap the NFT swaps tab.
Yes.
Is that right? And then I could create an order, and it would understand that I'm looking to swap.
Yes.
And so then would I select something in particular that I'm willing to swap for, or can I just put something out there and be like, what do you got for this?
No, but maybe one day I can do something like that. Right now you have to offer something. You have to offer either Bitcoin or an active asset or.
No, say that again.
I think right now you do have to offer something. So if it can be Bitcoin, it can be some of your art.
But what I'm asking is, does the thing I want have to also be pre-selected, or can I just put something up and then leave it open for people to like accepting offers?
Yeah,
is that am I like, so I guess what I'm trying to ask is, with NFT swaps, it needs to be both sides are filled out. I need to have selected the thing I want to swap for and what I'm offering in order for it to be completed.
Okay, now I get it. You can't do it now, but I like the idea.
Oh.
that means that I will make it because.
Oh, great! Oh,
it's like an open barter. Like I have this. What do you give for it?
What you got? Yeah. What you got? Right?
You can get it now in a way that you can put. Bid on any asset that is here. We are not playing whether it is listed or not. If it exists in somebody's holding, you can put an offer for it. You are not restricted. you can do that. But this is really funny that make a kind of a listing that I am willing to do this. Give me an offer, and yeah, good. I will think about how to do it, because what I want, it's not to have it in the marketplace, in the page, but to have it on chain, to really have it in a way that you will be able to show on your page over the API that these are the offers that I am now having. And that doesn't go with using a platform. You need the protocol for it to have it in a proper way.
I totally get it. Oh my gosh. Guys, I just want to say I'm so impressed with all the work that you've done, and the whole space has needed this. It's the thing that we all really needed and wanted. So thank you for building it. And I have 2 assets that are ready to go on chain today. And since they are complete HTML files, I will take HP's advice, and I will go on my desktop here, where my Bitcoin wallet is. Or actually, you know what? I will open and install the Bitcoin wallet here on the laptop as well, so I won't be limited in the future. And I'll put those assets on chain using ACME, and then maybe sometime soon, when you guys have time again, once those assets are on chain, we can come back and we can explore the other options, things I can do with it. And how, yeah? Okay, great. And then I can maybe put something up for a swap, and maybe we can do some trades and stuff like that.
You should also create your profile.
Of course, yes.
Yes, suggestion.
Yeah, so look, that's what I'm gonna do like today. Like as soon as we all say goodbye, I'm going to maybe eat a little lunch, and then I'm going to create my profile. I will put my first initial pieces on chain. And then I'll hit you guys up and be like, hey, let's make another play date, and then we can get into level 2, and I think that's good. I think this is a good place for everyone, because I don't know if people watching are like me, but I don't like to just sit passively all the time. Once I get an interest in something, I like to follow along. So this would be a good point. So everyone can create your profile, everyone get your art together, and my art is ready at 22 KB. So I think that's like a good spot. Art with code is so lightweight. What else do I need to do before I come back? How many Satoshis do I need in my wallet to come back for our next session, so everyone can be prepared?
I have to say, as much as you can. We'll do a lot of fun things.
Seriously though, like
I just wanted to tell you that I am so much enjoying this. I mean, we are almost for 3 hours now, and like so cool, really.
Yes, but this, because it's fun. Like time flies when you're having fun, and like I'm having a great time. I love this. I love learning, and I'm excited to to do more. I'm excited to put these on chain, and I'm really excited for the features, because getting the art on chain is that's just getting your foot in the door. That's just getting having skin in the game. To me, it's not really live until it's available, until someone can come along and experience it, see it, buy it, do something. So I want to make that happen.
Yeah, no, I think the next time maybe $20 is what I'm going to throw out there, and that way we can play a little bit. But I would say, to get yourself started, like, watch that video. Amy Digi just minted her profile. She was so thankful for that live stream, because it takes you step by step on how to create your profile, a collection, and art, and it gives you multiple options, like using the different methods you have, and then different file types, like lower res stuff or MP4 stuff, GIF stuff. So watch that live, and it'll walk you through all those steps. And then the next time you're here, have like $20 in case you want to mint something, 1 or 2 things, and then you want to put up some orders or do some swaps, or you want to mint. We didn't really get into the fungible tokens a whole lot, but like the meme coins and everything, you can create your own meme coin. And right now there's a few that you can. There's one right there, Cabal. You can mint that one, and it's actually free. So you can create your own. You can mint some of these fungible tokens, and fungible tokens are a whole nother world, right? That's like where the shit coining, the meme communities, the real world assets, like that's what the fungible tokens are. So we wanted to like allow those communities to play on ACME as well, and do it in a very on-chain, native, trustless, permissionless way. So that's a whole nother world that we can bring into ACME. But I think if you just do that, reach out if you have questions, and hopefully we see your profile soon. And
Oh
I want
yeah.
to thank you so much, because I enjoyed this too. Like Mort is coding 10, 12, 15 hours a day. So
Oh
this
my
was a
God.
nice break for him to talk about something he's also extremely passionate about, and something that he's been working on for over a year to create. So giving us the opportunity to be a part of your community and your world, and let us get the word out there, is something I really appreciate. I know you're being thankful, but it's like, no, like people need to see this and make their own decisions. We're not trying to sell anybody anything. We're just trying to
Right.
get these tools out there and say, hey, if you want to avoid cabals, don't give them the opportunity. Like, make it minimal. Play on decentralized platforms, trustless, permissionless marketplaces, and do it the right way. Make sure the ownership is yours.
Absolutely. Well, this has been so enlightening. It's been so enlivening, very exciting. I appreciate all of the insights and all the education. And, Bitcoin is like such a deep rabbit hole, and the technology is just so mind blowing. There's so many things that can be done that we haven't even touched on, like you said. So I'm looking forward to doing this. And I'm looking forward to spreading the excitement, because it is empowering and it is important to be able to create something and put it on chain. And I really believe that sometimes visionaries can be ahead of our time. It's important to build art that's built to build it in a way that's built to last. HP, your analogy of, if someone paid you to create a mural, in Seattle, why would you do it in chalk? It's so true, So for people who love creating and they love art, I think this is really important. And I'm really grateful for you guys. And you'll see my profile later today. And I'm going to put these things on chain. And I look forward to, hopefully you'll have time soon again, and we can reconvene and we can explore the rest of what we can do once the asset is on chain.
Perfect. If you will run into some trouble or whatever, you have my Telegram. Feel free to drop me a message if I'm online. I usually reply fast. So, and thank you very much for this. It was, really cool spend time.
So happy to do it. You deserve every bit of praise and every spotlight. So I'm looking forward to it, guys. Thank you so much for your time today. Do you want to say anything before I hit the stop record button?
I said my piece, but thanks again. It's always a pleasure, Maximilian. I love your energy, and we'll definitely be back on another one, and hopefully you'll join one of our spaces in the future as well.
Oh, always. It's my pleasure. Sending my love to you. And Mort, you got any final words?
Just again, thank you very much for the time. It was my pleasure, and we will do some crazy things in the future. I'm looking forward to it.
This is already crazy, and I'm looking forward to even more. It's going to be so. All right.
Okay, cool. So you mentioned auctions, right? You want to be able, well, first you mentioned filtering, so that anybody who's interested in viewing the art or collecting the art, learning more about the art, like they can just be directed to ACME, where the piece will be minted on chain and on Bitcoin. So absolutely, we can make something like that work. And then if you're going to do one of ones, they'll all be one of ones initially, and then you decide if you want to do additions or not. And each addition piece will be followed by a .ed to signify that it is an addition, which is really cool, because that's something I wanted. I know Morton Socks, feel strongly about it as well, because I was like, man, I really want this to be like the physical world, where it's like a one-of-one masterpiece for the artist holds a lot of value, right? Like it's viewed as like, ooh, the original Van Gogh, the original Maximilian, you know? So it is that one of one masterpiece. But, you know, sometimes collectors don't have, you know, hundreds or thousands or tens of thousands of dollars to spend on a piece. So let's offer editions, let's offer copies, and where the artist has full control of that and how that works. But the pieces are also separated by that .ed to signify, okay, cool, this is an edition, this is a copy of the original, right? And those can be sold separately from the one of one. So then you mentioned auctions, and again, as easy as we wanted it to be for the artist for the 3-click minting, we wanted the same option to be there for your auctions. 3 clicks and your auction's going, right? Like, it's very few things to just select for your auction and then get it going. So if you want to set a reserve, you set a reserve. If you want to decide, if you want to start it immediately, start it immediately. If you want to decide that it should start on X block, you started on X block. How long do you want it to go on? You know, how many blocks, Bitcoin blocks do you want this auction to run? You get to decide all that. And if you don't want to get super complex with it, that's totally fine. Start it right away and then have it end for the maximum amount of blocks that it can run. And then you decide again, do you want to reserve? Do you not want to reserve? And when the auction ends, it will auto execute in a decentralized, permissionless way, no middleman. We're not going to hold your art. We're not playing the middleman here. There's no risk of that middleman or centralized entity being involved in this transaction. We have been advocating and tried to produce a trustless, permissionless marketplace that, again, gives the power back to the artist and the collector and doesn't include a middleman that is taking their cut or including some risk in the transaction, right? Some unnecessary risk. So I hope that answers your question. But yes, we have, you know, we can offer solutions for both of those questions you have.
That is incredible. So I do have a couple of questions, but also I'd like for you, not only for myself, but also for friends who are going to follow this path that I'm trailblazing. So could you talk a little bit about the risk of the middleman?
Yeah, no problem. Mort, if you want to jump in, you can jump in. If not, I'll keep going.
You can add very quickly, as you asked, is for the risk of the middleman. Then you have a third party that you have to trust with your asset or trust with your Bitcoin when you are buying it. The way we have designed auctions, selling, basically everything for marketplaces is that you set this auction on Bitcoin, not with ACME web page or ACME marketplace, but with Bitcoin. And it is on-chain, there is no permission, there is no third party to control. The indexer takes the data and provides to the world. It can be seen by everybody. It is open, it is not concealed for a single marketplace. You can access it from your page, you can access it from marketplace that you build, you can see it on ACME page. But it is open and permissionless all the way through. So as you mentioned that you want to basically release every day, you can make, let's say, 5 assets and schedule the auctions to start every 144 blocks, which is 1 day, circa, and it will work for you. You will just send the transactions and you just look at it, how it is popping up every day. So, I mean, these things are cool, and I am stoked to show it to you once you will be setting the auctions and stuff, because it's really cool to see that you talk with Bitcoin and it works. There is nobody to do it, and it just works.
This is awesome. This is really awesome. It's been a real pain point, and actually, I don't know if either of you know this, but the last few months, I really have not been as present as I like to in the community, because I had to scramble and rebuild a bunch of things that got rugged when some platforms went down. And it's really hard. It's, for me, this is solving. Yeah, it's really heartbreaking, because I am one of those people, like I'm an architect, right? I like to plan things way in advance, and I'm a person that builds in layers. So for me to lose a bunch of work all at once, it literally was like a year of work just disappeared. And I had a really difficult decision that I had to make, which was taking the time to rebuild everything that I lost. And of course, if I rebuild it, I'm going to rebuild it sovereign, which takes more time. That's why so many artists build on other people's platforms, because it takes time. And we won't even talk about the skills that I didn't have, that I had to bolster to be able to do this. But I was very motivated. But I know that this is why a lot of us artists use platforms that other people build, is because we don't have the time, or we don't have the bandwidth, or we just barely have enough time to eke out the art that's deep in our heart. But building a platform and then maintaining it, it takes a higher level of discipline, a higher level of skill. It takes more bandwidth. It takes, a lot of resources. And so I was really scrambling to rebuild essentially a whole bunch of platforms. I was using a platform to make my crypto art augmented reality. Those platforms, they went down, and it was so sad. So I was rebuilding. And for me, it was a difficult decision, because if I didn't rebuild it, who am I? As an artist, all the art that I had made was resting on these, the art still existed, but the display, the presentation part had disappeared, and for me, art is not just a piece, it's an experience. It's kind of like, imagine any piece of clothing, your finest pair of slacks, your finest, whatever that, I think every human has a piece of clothing that when we wear it, it makes us feel good or comfortable or together or something, whether it's a structured jacket, a favorite soft shirt, whatever. Each of us has like one piece. It might even be a pair of like cozy socks, slippers, or sneakers. You can run so fast. There's something, right? But if, regardless of the value that article provides, how we came across it, how it came into our possession also matters. It's like a fine dinner that someone serves to you. You don't want it just like randomly presented to you on a garbage tin can, or it came in plastic or something. Like, how you get it matters. And so even though the art still existed, I'm gonna be honest, I don't want to send people to a huge marketplace to buy my art. It's kind of like sending someone to X or to Facebook to buy something from you that you made special, custom. I believe that every artwork, every series deserves its own custom experience, even podcasts. I would never send someone to iTunes or whatever to listen to my podcast. No, I'm going to build a whole experience around it. So you're at my house listening to my show with my friends and my people, and you can do all the things you need to do right there. So essentially, I spent the last year, after being in the space 4 years, I realized, this is what my art has been missing. And so I created it, I developed it. And before I could launch it and share it with the world, all the different platforms, and these are multiple platforms. It wasn't just one platform. It was like this season of, and it was like Eighth Wall round and all the all these really well-known platforms went down. And so if I didn't stop what I was doing, if I didn't stop my forward motion to rebuild all the things I had lost, I wouldn't really be able to go forward with the same roadmap that I had built. And so more than anything, I want to avoid that ever happening again, not only for myself, but for my collectors. Luckily, I'm still alive, and I was able to, gather myself, make these hard decisions, and gather the resources and make it happen. But this is why ACME Protocol is like so super important to me, is because I want Abstractia to live forever. These pieces are amazing. They scale infinitely big, they scale infinitely small. And my vision for Abstractia actually is to be on the sides of buildings. This background that we're looking at that has like the waves, it's one of my artworks. Can you imagine like a whole city where every exterior building has like, has the
with the
LED.
pattern on site?
Yeah.
That would be awesome.
Yeah, it would be amazing. Well, it could only happen if the art lives long enough for it to catch on. I mean, how many even classical artists, not even just visual artists, classical music artists, right? People who we imagine they were big in their day. We find out, actually, no, they didn't get paid dick when they were alive. They died in poverty, but now their music is worth, right? I might be that person too. So I have to make sure the art lives long enough. And that's why ACME Protocol is so important. That's why it's such the GOAT. You guys are GOATs. And this is why this matters to me. So I'm
This is
so ready
so
to
great
hit
to
it.
hear from you. I really thank you very much for your words, because we are trying. You know, ACME is something that we have been building for a year. I mean, I spent dedicated development a year of my life on this, and we have been frustrated by the things that you said. Platforms are popping out, like disappearing, and you know, even okay, as you said, art stays. You can find the art, but you don't have the context. You don't have all the connections, and you know that's why we came with the Cortex on-chain solution for metadata and connections between things, because it's not just the art; it's also the context of it. You know, who made it, why it was made, and I don't know who collaborated with you, and you know when these things disappear, it is such a shame and such damage to culture. I mean, yeah, it's so cool to have you on. I mean, they will make some crazy things. I can see it already.
Yes, I'm excited. I'm excited. Well, okay, so I've got my HTML file. It's ready, and I know from the documents and from our previous conversation, you said that there was 4 different ways to put art on Bitcoin. Is it right?
Yeah. So going back, like it's such a breath of fresh air to hear an artist. Really quick before I get into that, I just want to touch.
Take your time. Take your time.
It's so important.
Yeah, take your time.
I mean, I want others to hear this, right? Because you're somebody who gets it and understands the reason behind what it is we're trying to do. Is it's like I feel like there are some hurdles. There's like some pain points as you transition from the physical world to the digital world. And I say like there's an equivalent of in the physical world, your gallery, your canvas, your paintbrush, your paint. And that's all very important to an artist, right? A painter, they study these things in school, or if they didn't go to school, they study it on their own. They find their own sources and ways to learn all these things. But like I think it was an analogy that I used, or it was an example I gave of like, you know, you wouldn't be commissioned for this beautiful painting and choose printer paper and $1.99 Crayola paints, water paints, right? Like you wouldn't do that shit. No, you know, you wouldn't go grab chalk if somebody commissioned you to do this beautiful mural outdoor on the side of their restaurant, right? Like you wouldn't do that because you study the materials and the methods that you're going to use to create this art piece. There's an equivalent of that in the digital world, and any artist, in my opinion, has an obligation to learn how and where and why they're putting their digital art, where they're putting that art if they're going to sell it. If you're not going to sell it, do your thing. You know, if it's a creative outlet for you, you just want to express yourselves in a digital way, do your thing. But if you are going to sell it and you do have collectors, give them the respect of understanding those digital materials or digital methods that you have to put it on the blockchain, right? So one of the things we wanted to do, which I'll get into centralized indexing later, but I wanted to touch on your question of the 4 methods that we offer. And one thing that we noticed, because, you know, Mort has 10 plus years in crypto, Sox has 10 years in crypto, I have almost 8 years in crypto, and we've all spent several years in the Bitcoin ecosystem in general. So we've seen everything like, okay, like I love this about this protocol or this community, but there's these opportunities that we need to fill, right? And there's so much in the Bitcoin ecosystem because it's so young that we can improve, and that's what we're trying to do with ACME. So it's like give the artists options. If they want to go on chain, we're huge advocates of going on chain, because if you don't go on chain, there's risk of losing the art, like you guys were talking about, right? If it's sitting somewhere in AWS cloud, or it's sitting somewhere linked to, you know, a link that eventually breaks, or AWS cloud, or whatever cloud service you're using goes out of business, that art is gone. And then it becomes the token is the art sort of scenario. It's like you're left with this token, but there's no data, there's no art attached to it. It's just a token at that point. So give the artist options. We offer 3 on-chain options. There's the UTXO method, which is extremely expensive, but it puts the data on every single node, which you're going to really upset the maxis if you do that, because it's extreme spam, and it's really, it is asking that every single node hold the data to that art that you're putting on Bitcoin. And then we have witness data, which is commonly used by ordinals, but it's not an ordinal specific and exclusive thing. But there's witness data and op return, which are not on every full node, but they're still on chain, and that data will always be available on Bitcoin somewhere. Not all nodes will carry that information, but if you're willing to take the trade-off of not having that data on every single node, but you know it will live on chain forever, and you want that discount for going witness data or op return, those are the second and third options. The fourth option is an option for somebody who does animations or MP4s or highly detailed art, high resolution photography. Like, we have a bridge to Arweave as the fourth option, and that's a way where maybe it's not on chain. The creation of the token that is connected to the data, that's fully on chain. The connection to your on-chain profile, that's fully on chain. But the data itself will live on Arweave, which we believe in Arweave and what they're trying to do. If you study them a little bit, they're huge, huge advocates of decentralization and removing those central parties in their indexing, in their gateways, in the data itself, and creating true permanence and decentralization. So we chose them as the fourth option, which is a more economical option. You can get a piece on ACME for 20, 30, 40 cents and play in the Bitcoin ecosystem by bridging to Arweave. So if it's your wallet that you're, the amount of you're going to be on a budget, or it's the type of art that you create, there's that fourth option of Arweave. So yes, 4 options to put your art on Bitcoin and be a part of the ecosystem.
That is so interesting. Okay. So I have a question. So, methods 2 and 3. Would you mind getting nerdy with me? And could we do some sensazioni? So just as background, because I feel like what we're doing right now is sensazioni. One of my favorite living authors, his name is Michael Gelb. He wrote a book, and it's actually an audiobook. He never actually published it in writing. He only published him speaking this. So it's a spoken word book, but it's called Think Like Da Vinci. And I don't know if you guys ever listened to this book. It came out a long time ago, but he talks about, the whole book is about how Da Vinci taught and interacted with his students, and one of the exercises that he is said to have done is called sensazioni. And what they would do is they would lay out 4 similar, multiple, not just 4, but similar different things. And they would do this experience where they would discuss the differences between them, not to say, this is better, this one's worse, but just to appreciate the differences between them. So I guess what I'm really asking, can we sensazioni between the 2 and 3 different methods that you mentioned, number 2 and number 3?
Yes. Go ahead, Mo, you want to take it, or?
Yeah, I can take it. I mean, method 2 is OP return, and method 3 is witness data, right? So OP return is something that is designed to carry data on Bitcoin. Originally, it was 83 bytes, like very, very, very tiny. You can put like 80 characters into it and over. Now, with the version 30 of Bitcoin, we have 100 kilobytes of OP return data. So this data can be used for whatever you want. It's basically approved by maxis. It's accepted, let's say, or tolerated this way. It's the middle ground between UTXO and witness in when we are talking about costs. There is no discount for the data itself, but you don't burn any dust, which is compared to UTXO settings. So it is cheaper. Option number 3, witness, has, as I said before, 400 kilobytes limit for the data. And on top of it, it has a 75% discount on the cost of the data. So when you put 400 kilobytes, you pay 400 kilobytes, which is, I mean, really cool. But the drawback is this data is often being pruned from the node. It doesn't live on more than like 5% of the Bitcoin nodes, and that's considerable thing if you are looking for real immutability and an accessibility of the data.
So like, what would that mean, like, for a collector? Like, you know how sometimes there's like a notable difference in the way that something is happening on the back end, but like, how does that affect the artwork for the collector? Does that mean that sometimes it won't show up? Like, what are the differences experientially for the collector? So I'm fully understanding when I'm making these really important decisions.
With all the first three options, UTXO, OP return, and witness, if there is Bitcoin node, it will be accessible. That is not a problem. This data is basically always accessible because it lives on chain. There might be kind of issue with Arweave because you are relying on third-party service again, which is decentralized. These guys are doing a really great job. I mean, they are doing for like permaweb and decentralized storage. They are doing the kex work really. But it's still we experience outages there. We experience gateways down because it's the nature of ping. They don't have 47,000 nodes as Bitcoin. It's different, but the price is also radically different. So you have these things you have to juggle when you want to do it. But with all the first three options, you get the certainty your artwork will pop up and it is preserved. It differs only with, as I said, the nuances between it, the size constraint, what you can put, and first option is the most secure. I mean, it's permanent marker on glass. You can't get it away. There is no way it disappears. Witness can be pruned, so it can disappear from some of the nodes.
Yeah. So let's talk about that, because I really want to have clarity. I want everyone to have clarity too. So
yeah, sure.
When it's pruned, right? What does that mean experientially? So let's say I'm a token holder. Let's say, right? So if it's pruned, what shows up when I go to look at it?
When you are, let's say, on ACME page, ACME is connected to the full node, which is not pruned by design. It is set up the way it will never be pruned, so it will always hold the data. But from all the Bitcoin nodes, there is just around 5% of such nodes, because it's now around 1.3 terabytes of data and growing up. So in some years, there won't be too many people capable of running a Bitcoin node because of the bloat that is going with it. So let's say now it is completely the same with witness data and UTXO and OP return. But in 10 years or 20 years, then you will need a whole data center to store the Bitcoin blockchain. You won't have 5% of the nodes running it. You will have like 1% or 0.5%. I don't know. I mean, it will never disappear completely, but it can get to a point where those who are having the data will charge you for it.
Oh my gosh!
I mean, it's science fiction, but a real one.
Oh my god! So
I have an analogy.
Yeah, go ahead, HP.
Okay, thanks. So sometimes, like when we're explaining this, it can get really technical, but to try to help people understand the difference between UTXOs and then op return and witness, I think of it like ATMs at a bank, right? Like, so let's say there's two different banks and you're trying to decide, okay, where do I want to put my cash? And one bank says to you, okay, you can bank with us. You're going to pay full price for banking with us, but you'll have access to your assets or your cash in this case on our entire network of ATMs. We have 10,000 ATMs across the world. Okay, so you get access to your cash on all 10,000 ATMs, but you pay full price for banking. The second bank says, hey, we'll offer you a discount. We have two different tiers. Think of it like maybe Witness and Opportune. Witness offers a 75% discount, right? 75% discount on banking, that's going to appeal to a lot of people. That's a significant discount. But for the network of 10,000 ATMs that we have globally, we're only going to allow you to access your cash on